spiked out. I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Startups. This is episode number 43, maybe? 43 is correct? Holy cow, I am coming back to life. It's been the most brutal 11 weeks and awesome weeks of my life with the new baby, London Athenas. Those of you who follow my blog, Get the Daily London, where I post a picture. I've basically limited Tyler to one picture a day because I don't want to be that guy who, with the kid pictures and the videos, is like all day long on their stream. But I feel like I have to do one. But then I'll go to like a weekly, I think, maybe. But my mom wants it to be like multiple times a day. I have been exhausted. And this has been an exhausting week. This is the theme of the last 2 months of shows, is exhaustion. This should be the exhaustion episode. Have you been exhausted too? Because people are still talking about the lack of insights.
Okay.
You had two insight weeks.
I feel like I've had much more sleep than you, so I'm ready. I can bring it.
I know you have, and you know what? It's sort of like this is like a Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen type of thing. Like when I got the flu, I need you to sometimes whoop whoop.
I'm ready.
You got to bring a little more.
This is my week. I got plenty of sleep last night.
You know how much sleep I got last night? Like 5 hours. But this is how babies work. Just when they go to sleep, like they'll sleep, right? So it takes you an hour to get them to go to sleep, or half hour. Then they go to sleep. You're still wound up because the baby's been crying, whatever. So there's no way you're going to sleep for an hour. Then you finally get to sleep an hour after they go to sleep. They wake up an hour and a half later, which is exactly right when your REM is like kicking in. So it's basically like, you know, being in Guantanamo or something. Like they're like, oh, is he? Oh, I'm sorry. Is that Al Qaeda guy he just went to REM sleep? Okay, shake him. Lights. Boot. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I think I might be losing my mind a little bit. My behavior very erratic on Twitter. People are asking me what's going on at Koi, what's going on with the orcas. I mean, I think I have to. This is my advice to new parents. Yeah. When you are lacking sleep, get off of social media. Like it should just be a moratorium. The first 90 days you have a kid, you just can't, because you don't make any sense. I'm looking back on my tweets. I'm like, what did I say exactly? And it was a particularly brutal week. We got beat up by the SEOs in the early part of the week, and it's like. I'm so tired. I can't fight. I'm too tired. I mean, it's like everybody knows I'm tired. Therefore, the SEO, the maitre d' at Koi, everybody is just piling on the week. I'm like exhausted. And this is what entrepreneurship is all about. Basically, the entrepreneurial universe knows when you're weak, and that's when they come after you. They attack when you're weak. Anybody who thinks that entrepreneurship is not a war and a massive fight, like Twitter is having, stability problems, that's when Facebook steals their stuff and attacks, Or when Facebook is having their problems with privacy, that's when somebody else attacks. If you're an entrepreneur and things are going wrong, be prepared, because that is when you will get attacked. And if you're an entrepreneur and you've got a competitor and you see them stumbling, that is the time to just take the dagger and just attack. When they're like Jimmy Wales, when he was failing, I just sort of like piled on and kept releasing features, and then I start tweeting and how great things are going. Is to psychologically get inside the head of your competitor.
Right. Because you got to flip that switch and somehow break them.
Yeah, and that's what's happening to me. I'm on the other side of it, and I'm realizing, my God, I would never want to be my competitor, because now I see what the SEOs are doing to me. They know I'm weak, so they're just like, oh, let's just pile on. And boy, they're sophisticated. Like, these are the people you do not want to get in a fight with. It's like literally getting in a fight with terrorists. I'm not saying SEOs are terrorists, but they're close to it. I mean, they are pretty much like, they're suicide bombers. They basically come running in with a bomb strapped to their chest, and they're like, let's take a Google employee's name, put it next to Jason's, and say, Jason's is making this Google employee look really stupid, and da-da-da-da. Explode the bomb. That's my week. Anyway. South by Southwest is occurring in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, it's 400 people watching. Hey, everybody. It's funny, people are like, Twist fanboys, like, why does Tyler's cam always suck? Having no idea that we purposely just like, we're doing the check, and Tyler's camera looked too good, so I just like unplug it a little bit and make it staticky. Let's put Tyler's cam up for a second. See how we got the static going? It looks like a Mars rover. It's like, Tyler Crowley, come in, Tyler Crowley. This is Major Tom to ground control. And so we're apparently our friends at Sonos, our friends at Microsoft, really want us to do a show at South by Southwest. So we are 2 weeks away from that, or I don't know how many days. When is it? On the 16th, 17th, 18th or something?
13th, yeah.
13th. That is like 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
So in 15 days, we're going to try to arrange shipping 5 people, boxes of gears, camera, internet connections, and actually try to do a show down there. So special thanks to Microsoft and Sonos for attempting to do something insane like this. And it would be the opening night Saturday, maybe 3 to 7 o'clock, a bunch of Twist fans. There's only going to be room for 150 people, is that right? 100?
No, now it's up to like 350.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can, wow, 350. I don't know if we can fill that many seats. Maybe we can. But hey, if Microsoft's paying, I'm down. Thank you to Ustream for hosting us and doing a great job. I noticed that Ustream, I'm watching myself right now on Ustream, and did anybody else notice that in the last 2 weeks, everything looks crisper on Ustream? Are they spending more money on bandwidth or something?
They got that huge fundraising from SoftBank.
That was like $750 million.
Yeah, something crazy like that.
It was like $70 million.
75, yeah.
$75 million. What is Ustream going to do with that?
Apparently it's to branch out into Asia.
Ah. The good news is they can't complain about sponsoring This Week in Startups. They can't say like they don't have the money.
Right.
But they've been a great sponsor, and yeah, wow. There will be, somebody's asking about the new homepage. There will be at thisweekin.com a homepage. We have somebody building it. Looks very professional. You see me maybe tweet it out. So all of these shows will be on there. Some people tuned into This Week in Twitter, which is Lon Harris, who does the news here. He wanted to do his own show. He's doing This Week in Twitter, then our show. Then after our show is This Week in Android, which is, and these are sort of experimental shows. We're going to see what sticks. And then I think on Wednesday they're doing This Week in Cloud Computing. So the first show in the network was Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. This is my Kevin Pollak Chat Show t-shirt that Kevin gave me. And Kevin's movie comes out tonight.
Cop? Bad Cop?
Cop Out.
Cop Out.
Cop Out, which was originally called The Two Dicks. Kevin Smith directed this film. It's with, and then I think he's having Stifler on the show on Sunday. Right? What's that kid's name? Stifler? Sean William Scott will be on, in this very studio, Stifler from American Pie, who's in the film, will be in the studio. So watch that on 5 o'clock on Sunday, right? Still 5 p.m. So Kevin Pollak Show, This Week in Startups, This Week in Android, This Week in Twitter, and This Week in Cloud Computing. So all of a sudden we have 5 shows in the network. Turns out This Week in Cloud Computing has 2 sponsors already. So that show is now going to be break-even profitable. So this whole network thing could work. I'm sort of building like a Weblogs Inc. 2.0. Remember Weblogs Inc. was all blogs? I think I do this with podcasts. So it's sort of the Leo Laporte method, although Leo's got bigger shows. I think we're going to go more niche, like cloud computing, Android. I don't know what's going to work. Let's just experiment. We have the studio here. We have a CEO for the company, Mark Jeffries, CEO of the company. We may actually do an angel round, so we may have to pitch at Open Angel Forum, which is another note.
Yeah.
How are we doing for Open Angel Forum?
60. Well, if we only count it, it's right at about the 100 mark for the applications for San Francisco.
Really?
Yeah.
And we have 60 or 70 in, and then 30 or 40 come in the last day?
Well, no, I'm not. There's an old form where people said future events that are coming up, they wanted San Francisco.
Right, okay. So we will be selecting, today is the final day
basically
for the first round of people presenting, but we're giving people Saturday, Sunday, Monday to be in the final group of people.
Really just Saturday, Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
But you and I are going to look through this weekend.
Yeah. If it's not in by Sunday night.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
So we're going to look through this weekend. We're going to go through it. Then we're going to pick the top 15 and do phone calls with them.
Yep.
And then we'll have Kevin, Rose, Chris Saka, and you and I will pick the five companies that will present.
Yep.
And we're going to do it in a private restaurant in San Francisco. So nobody has, this is the problem, there's no big houses there, so you have to do it in a restaurant. And we have 1 or 2 sponsor tickets left. So if you're a law firm, accounting firm, recruiter, and you want to go, you get to pick up the check, basically. So you get to be a mensch, and it's $1,500. So you go to Open Angel Forum, you put in your credit card. If you're a lawyer or a recruiter and you can't afford the $1,500, well, that's sort of the idea. We don't want you there, right? I mean, we're trying to be exclusionary, and
the whole thing from top to bottom is all A-list. So
right. So we want the A-list lawyer. Yeah. So if you're a law firm and you can afford $750, not the event for you. If you're a recruiter and like that recruiter who wanted to go the first time was trying to negotiate to $1,000, not the event for you. But if you're a recruiter, and let's face it, recruiters and lawyers make, for every startup, $30,000, $40,000 a year in the first year. So paying $1,500 to go and possibly get one of 5 is no big deal. Yeah. And that's what's funding it. And then if it doesn't, I'm going to have to come out of pocket. I mean, what if, I guess I'll have to pay for it.
Hasn't happened yet.
Right. If it does, it's fine. And I invested in the 2 of the first companies. Anyway, yeah, Backupify and then another one, which I probably shouldn't say yet. I don't know if I can say it. But anyway, if you're a lawyer, accountant, recruiter, technology company, and you would like to attend and hang out with very powerful angels who are going, who are the very powerful angels that are going?
Do you want me to?
Well, I know it's going to be like the Ron Conways of the world probably, or Ronnie Conway who's working for Mark Andreessen probably, Chris Sacca. This is like the real deal because it is San Francisco. There's a ton. And then New York is April 8th.
Yeah.
So next week, if I have this correct, we may have to go up Monday night for a special double secret dinner with a special double secret people, right? That's our Monday night. Then we have a board meeting Wednesday for Mahalo. And then Thursday we have this madness Open Angel Forum.
Right.
So we have to do the board documents this weekend, go through the Open Angel Forum. Yep. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
We have to get a national sponsor for Open Angel Forum. So this is the second piece. Now the Open Angel Forum has gotten so big, we're going to announce Seattle next. And then we have literally 15 other cities that want to launch. I think I have to stop at 5, 3 times a year. That's 15 events until we get national sponsors. So Wilson Sonsini, Fenwick and West, one of those big law firms. Microsoft, Google, whoever. Somebody's got to step up and write a $50,000 check for the year. And if we can get 5 of those people to do that, that would pay for the food at, half the food at the events and 2 staff members to do the work that we're doing right now and make this sustainable and get it to 10, 15 cities. If we get it to 10 cities 3 times a year, it's 30 events for $50,000. That's only like $1,500 an event, $2,000 an event. It's sort of a deal. So we just give it away for $50,000. If you're Wilson Sonsini or whatever, or if you know people there, tell them. I guess we could give exclusivity. We could say 1 law firm, 1 accounting firm. That's probably the way to do it. So okay, that's the way we'll do it. 1 accounting firm, 1 real estate firm, 1 headhunting firm, 1 law firm, whatever. Anyway, this thing has gotten too big. It's not sustainable.
It's going to be good. Business Week put out a list. I saw a list. Somebody tweeted a list yesterday of Business Week's top angels.
They were all at the event.
Half of the top 25 angels are at this event. Half of, I mean like worldwide top angels.
Right.
Business Week's most powerful list. So.
Yeah. Well, here's where, the other thing is, since we want it to be selective, it's only going to be 20 angels per city. Yeah. So we've already filled that up pretty easily. So then what we're going to do is the 21st angel will charge $5,000 to join or something like that. Like one-time fee. So we just make it like, get it to some sustainability, and then you have to create some exclusivity to stop it and some filtering. Yeah. This is the thing that people don't realize about events. Doing good events is as much about who is there as who is not there. If you have an event like this and there are 20 reporters there and 20 press people and 20 nudniks who are confusing the situation, diluting it, it's going to be a bad event. I'm not saying press are bad or PR people are bad, but that's not the point of the event. So for the press people and the PR people, if you want to go, just buy a ticket. But press can't go, period. But for like a PR firm or something like that, you can buy a ticket or not go. I think a plane just took off behind me.
Yeah.
I don't know if the audience can even hear that. This week in Lindsay Lohan? No. We're not going to do that. It's every now and then I look over in the chat room, and then sometimes it's like, wow, that was brilliant. And then other times I'm just like, really? This week in Lindsay Lohan? No, we're not going to do this week in Lindsay Lohan. Bing, Bing, Bing has been sponsoring the show now. I think this is their 10th actual sponsorship, 10 weeks in a row or something like that. And holy cow, they've done a great job sponsoring. And you know all the great stuff they do with the Bing search engine. The maps, I would say, are as good or better than Google Maps now. Their video is better than Google.
There's a TED Talk on that just happened at the most recent TED on Bing Maps and some of the just incredibly crazy cool stuff they're doing, like live video overlay. It's mind-blowing. They might try and find that video.
Yeah, there you go. Augmented reality or something.
Yeah, it was augmented reality.
Microsoft being about reality talk. So anyway, I'm pulling that up here on my screen, and everybody should go watch this. This is why it's a good sponsorship, because they didn't even put this in the sponsorship notes. You just thought on your feet like this would be something interesting to show, and this is really why sponsoring media like podcasts like This Week in Tech or This Week in Startups is smart, because you actually get the really smart people who are tuned into the things that maybe even your advertising department hasn't thought of. Like we're actually using Bing and checking it out. So
skip forward a bit on this guy's talk. It gets really crazy.
Really?
It does real-time map in 3D view. So look at that. It's incredible. I don't know if you could tweet the URL out.
Well, somebody can put it in the chat room, and then somebody else tweet it, and somebody thank Bing for this tremendous sponsorship. And Bing has just been awesome to us. What's really been great about Bing is they want to sponsor the 50th episode, too. I mean, I can't believe the amount of support. It's been really nice of them. I'm really actually touched by it.
And at 2 o'clock, there's a special Bing thing coming up.
Oh, right. So. At 2 o'clock, we're going to do the winner.
30 minutes from now,
Stefan Weitz is going to be with us again. He is the director of Bing Search, and he is going to announce the winner of the Bing Perfect Pitch Contest. Oh, thank you, Bing. We can't say enough about all the great stuff you're doing. And, of course, some people might notice that the downloads are getting faster across the network. We're testing a new way to host the files. It's called the CDN, Content Delivery Network. We talked about the other week when we had Edgecast on. A similar CDN called NetDNA has given us free hosting, which we couldn't afford if we were to do it that way. And man, the speed of the downloads went from 200 kilobits a second to 3 megabit for some people, which is awesome. I'm pretty psyched that we have our first Techstars company. Is it the first Techstars company that's been on? I'm 99% sure it is. Andy Smith is with us. He's the CEO and co-founder of DailyBurn, which is a super cool iPhone application and website that allows you to not be a fat bastard. I think that's you guys, that's the official tagline? Don't be a fat bastard like Jason?
I wouldn't say it that way, but...
Yeah, I think that's basically it, though. It is a whole new category of there's a whole new category going on of like getting in shape and using technology to help you with that. Fitbit is one thing, Weavings, the scale that you guys see I use, DailyBurn. There's just a ton of stuff to help you not be a fat bastard. It's a not be a fat bastard category of applications. So welcome to the program. Thanks for coming. You guys have been doing great. I mean, tons of press for the product and tons of downloads. How many people have downloaded this iPhone application?
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands, and it's not free.
So we have two.
There's a free one, and
there's a free one in the food scanner, which is kind of the sexy one, where you can scan the barcode of the food and track your food that way.
Right. So wait, which one's free?
There's a DailyBurn free app.
Right.
And that kind of does the wide workout tracking and food tracking and weight stuff. And then there's Food Scanner, which is the paid app for.
How much does that cost?
99 cents.
That's it.
Yeah.
$1.
$1.
So how could you not?
Yeah, that's right.
And that sold thousands or tens of thousands? How much does something like that sell?
Hundreds. I mean,
hundreds of thousands.
Yeah,
for that one.
Yeah.
That people pay for.
Right.
So you make an application and you make hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. That is amazing and inspiring. And your company is how many people now?
We got 5.
5. Yeah. So I really want to get into this iPhone application thing and how you make money from it and how you get ranked and that whole thing. But we always like to start with Ask Jason because that's everybody's favorite segment on the program. So let's take a call on Ask Jason.
Hello?
And we're back. We're back with Steven. Steven is a Skype caller from the 0044. Oh, no, sorry.
Oh,
Sean.
sorry.
I went ahead to Shark Tank.
Sean.
Sean is from the 845. Where is the 845, Sean?
845 is Poughkeepsie, New York, but I'm actually on Long Island right now, so.
You live on your own. Where do you live? Where do you hail from? Where are you right now?
Long Island, New York.
Strong Island, very nice. What exit?
There you go. Don't actually know. South end of the Seafood Oyster Bay. I'm on the South Shore, so I don't go up to LIE too much.
Okay. So you're in New York. and you have a question for us. You have, Andy, is this your first company?
Second company.
Second company. So you've been around the block.
A little bit.
You know a little bit about entrepreneurship. You've been through the TechStars program, which I want to hear all about. We're going to get into the interview segment. So you got two pretty solid entrepreneurs here. Plus you've got Tyler's wonderful and delightful insights. What is your question, Sean?
Awesome. Yeah. So my question is basically I basically have a side project I'm looking at turning into a side business that I mentioned maybe. So it becomes full-time. And as part of both planning for that and eventually looking at maybe getting investment for it, I know usually it's a good idea to get an idea of the market, the size of the market you're going into. But I'm not really sure how one goes about doing that research and coming up with that kind of estimate. So my question is, how do you go about doing that?
Right. This is a great question. To summarize your question, you are you're an entrepreneur with a side project that's getting momentum. You want to blow it out, and you need to know exactly how big is this market, because if I'm going to talk to investors, that's probably going to be the second question after who the hell are you, and what do you do?
Sure.
So it's going to be in their top 2 or 3. The best thing to just say is like $100 billion and then just move on and lie. No, it's not. But it's essentially overrated to discuss the size of a market because there's a lot of funny business that goes on with the numbers. However, some investors like to know it. They like to know that you did at least some research on the market. Most markets are large. If you look at the health market that DailyBurn's going after, like, how do you define that? Do you define it as gym memberships? Do you define it as the sneakers that people buy? Do you define it by them buying healthy foods at Whole Foods? Do you include vitamins in that? I mean, depending on what you include, everything is like a multi-billion-dollar market. And then everybody always uses, I got to capture 1% of it. And it's like, well, DailyBurn has nothing to do with vitamins. It's not really the, right. So you don't get to capture a percentage of that market, right, in the DailyBurn example. There's a lot of funny business that frankly goes on with this, and so I'm not a huge fan of it. But tell us, what is your vertical? What is your perceived industry?
So the tool I'm building is something that basically it's called Funnel.2, and the idea is that you basically have a bunch of sources. So it could be anything from like a Twitter search to a Git repo to whatever. It basically generates events. You then can filter and process those events and then pump them out into various outputs. So like a chat room or email, phone call, text message, so on.
Okay.
So initially I'm looking at focusing on developers, those who as a developer tool, but then expanding it out to other markets.
Okay, so you have a developer tool that allows you to tap into the stream, the Twitter stream, and then spit that back out in some kind of intelligent fashion, correct?
Sure.
Okay, that exists in a company called GINP. Is that GINP? The company that's actually out of Boulder in TechStars. Right. Is it GINP? Yeah. So you've heard of this company before?
No, actually.
Okay, so there's a company called GINP, G-N-I-P. They are out of Boulder. They raised some money. They did a reboot. They've got like 5 employees. They're trying to sell this exact product, which is a toolkit for developers or even for sophisticated individuals to do little searches and say, I would like to know anytime people mention the hashtag twist in real time, and then I want to retweet it to the twist account or whatever, you know. And so these things.
Well, I guess just to just to clarify a little bit, the idea is actually a little bit more general. So taking events from all kinds of sources, so not just Twitter, but like commits to like a Git or SVN repo or things said in a chat room, so on and so forth. Basically, the idea is to make like bots easily.
Right. So looking for this software in previous incarnations is one way to sort of determine the market size. And a lot of times, you know, when you have a new piece of software like this, the price, you know, it might be worth nothing to some companies. And then there's other companies like Fortune 100 companies who are like, yeah, we should pay $15,000 a month for that. So there's very flexible pricing. You look at a company like Chartbeat, which I'm an advisor to, they charge $10 a month or $15 a month or something like that. And then they have custom things that they do for custom websites that cost more. It's very, very variable depending on the client. And so you have to define who you're going to sell the product to in order to develop the market size. And at this early on, I think it's kind of worthless with a tool like that to even say to people, this is the market size. I think the better proof point to have is we currently have a client paying X, and they said this is cheap, or they say they're getting their money's worth. So I've told Chartbeat, charging me $15 a month, I would be willing to. I told them on the phone the other day, I would be willing to spend $300, $400 a month on this for a site like Mahalo, which makes a couple $1 million in revenue, and $300 a month is $3,600 a year. Maybe I would get to $500 a month. I might pay $5,000 a year for it, but I wouldn't have in the first year of Mahalo. And so getting a client to confirm your pricing, and then you can extrapolate from that. There are 10,000 potential companies like this, and then we think we can get half of them, a third of them, 10% of them to pay. And then there's this other sort of sub-market of smaller people who will pay for a lighter version. Andy, do you even do anything like this? Did you when you made DailyBurn, did you look at, here are 5 other health-related applications and how many copies they've sold?
Yeah, I mean, I think your solution is good. I mean, typically when we try to estimate the market, I mean, we're in such a big market, so I can look at publicly traded companies that have their information showing, diet and weight loss industry, $40 billion in the U.S., and so we can get those macro numbers. But I think the more important thing is to get a paying customer, look at your conversion funnels, and kind of try to extrapolate it from the bottom up. That's what I would recommend.
Right, so sort of actually look at the real statistics and what are people are willing to pay for. So yeah, I think the market size, when you come in with the market size, you kind of look like a BS artist. It's a red flag. You come in, it's $40 billion for this, it's $60 billion for this. It means nothing compared to just one client. Or we put out this food scanning application and sold 30,000 of them, we made $30,000. Because then a VC or an investor can look at that and say, if you sold $30,000 for this vision, which is 10% of your larger vision, if I give you money and you can go 10x the vision and some marketing, you go 50x, now they're going to go, 300 could go 500, $300,000 could become 50 times or 500 times that. This could be a $1.5 million in sales, which almost might probably be exactly what conversations you've had.
Right.
Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Great, thanks.
We'll keep us in the loop, and Scott Simcoe, super fan blogger. We'll get back to you and keep in touch with you, and maybe do a follow-up a couple of months from now on the blog.
Awesome.
Take care.
Great.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
I think there's about 8 feet of snow in New York right now. So usually we go to Shark Tank, but our Shark Tank caller, who I think is in Europe, is not picking up their Skype.
That's 20 minutes from now, though.
Shark Tank? Or the winner of the Shark Tank?
The winner. Oh, I see what you're saying.
I was saying the actual Shark Tank person. So that means we should move right on to the interview section. Andy, first of all, thanks for coming in. Tell me, how did you get into the TechStars program, and how did you find out about it, and why did you do it?
Yeah, so TechStars, I mean, early on we really wanted mentors and to meet people, especially in the web space. I was from Huntsville, Alabama, not a lot of web entrepreneurs there, so we kind of went out seeking that opportunity. I actually applied to TechStars the first year of the program, 2007, and didn't make the cut. 2 reasons. One of our business ideas was to build kiosks and gyms, which is a terrible idea, and lots of work for a startup. But mostly because we hadn't really jumped ship and really going after it hard. So, that kind of motivated us to go ahead. I quit my other company. Steven, co-founder, joined with me, and we went for it. And by the end of the next year, we were still interested in TechStars after having talked to them. And we were showing revenue, showed user growth, had a product, and were able to get in that way.
So you apply in 2007.
That's right.
Was that the first year they did it?
First year, yeah.
So you apply the first year they did it to put kiosks in gyms.
As part of the strategy. That was like, we still wanted to do the web thing.
Right.
But, yeah.
So your idea was to put kiosks in gym, and then people could upload their data or type in their data. So it'd be like a public terminal, like I just got finished working out and I put in my stats.
Yeah, it would be connected to the web, but it would, have ability after you work out, you could type it in there.
Right.
Ultimately, it wasn't a very good strategy. I think, moving to the mobile phone, everybody has a phone, so I think that's the second year, that was our strategy, right? We're going to have the mobile piece.
Why didn't you come up with the mobile strategy, do you think, when you look back on it in hindsight? Was it that 2007 There just wasn't a massive amount of iPhone penetration and smartphone penetration?
Yeah, I think that's it. And honestly, we underestimated, I think, the cost of what that would take a small startup to do.
What did you think that would cost?
I was thinking, oh, it costs we could put a dumb Linux terminal in there, it costs $500, that kind of thing. But then you realize you have to staff it. What happens if things break? Do you have a printer?
Boy, maintenance.
Put it in paper. I mean, it's just a
disaster.
Yeah.
The kiosk business, that whole business is just riddled with startups that have failed. Even the displays, LCD displays and coffee beans in Starbucks and all these other bodegas and stuff like that. None of those businesses have worked. It's just too expensive to deploy a network of terminals. It's got to get much cheaper. So then after you fail to get in, that must have been kind of depressing.
A little bit. We wanted to do it, and we knew it would be very, very valuable. We ended up joining up with the incubator in our hometown, and still went after it. But give you a little bit of drive to go for it the next year.
So instead of just totally crying in your coffee, you said, you know what, we'll fight and we'll do better next year.
We really looked for that as kind of our mark in the sky that we're supposed to jump ship and do this for real. And we didn't get in, and we decided, well, we still want to do it, and so went for it.
Second time in, you actually had a product?
Product, revenue, users. I don't know how many users we had at that time, but over 5,000, 10,000 users. I think when we joined Techstars, we had 35,000 users. And, so we're showing revenue. We're showing, it was going up and to the right, which you like to see. So
how much revenue do you have when you're applying? It's like $10,000 in revenue, or
yeah, no, not that much. I mean, we're just showing. We could show pro conversion. I don't really remember the number.
Right, but low thousands or something.
Yeah.
So David Cohen, who runs Techstars, did he tell you? Did he actually talk to you and tell you why you didn't get in the first time, and then, or is it just so many people apply that they can't get back to you?
No, they're really good. I mean, so there's a process you go through. So, you make a first cut of some kind. They call you, interview you a little bit, and then if you don't make it, that was he called and said the 2 reasons why. Kiosk idea is terrible, and you're not doing it. We're really looking for entrepreneurs who are dedicated to the vision and going for it.
So he actually told you this is a terrible idea, and you appreciated that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And see, this is the thing that people don't realize about entrepreneurs, like real entrepreneurs. A lot of times you have in order to have a big, bold vision, you sometimes get off course and do something that is just destined to fail.
Right.
So if you're going to shoot the rocket with a lot of power, it can go, to the moon, or it can just go straight up and straight down and explode. It's really nice and refreshing for somebody who is either not giving you money, or not giving you angel investment, or not giving you distribution, or not coming to work for you, or not letting you into this, Techstars program, actually tell you why. Hey guys, you can let the dogs in. I said like 5 times on the Twitter room. Can you guys also instant message me on the Ustream again, so then I could send you little notes back and forth.
So Techstars.
Hey guys, try some fondue.
The applications are open now, so I've got to put in a pitch for that.
Oh, Techstars applications are open.
Right.
And so what did you fill out a form to get into Techstars?
Yeah, it's like a 20-minute form, and they're looking for good teams and some idea, and
do you have to have an actual? Do you have to have an actual product, or is it enough to have like a business plan and an idea?
Yeah, that's enough.
That's enough.
I mean, I actually think we were farther along than lots of the companies coming in, right? So they had just an idea, they're getting going. We were one of the 1 or 2 that had something going.
So you get into the program, and then what? You just show up in Boulder, and you get a hotel room or an apartment. How does that work?
Yeah, you move out for the summer. So I was in Boulder. Now they have 3 classes. They have Seattle, Boston, and Boulder. But you go on site for a 3-month period, and it's a lot of fun. We actually rented it. Since it's in the summer. University of Colorado wasn't there. We sublet an apartment. We
cool.
lived together. I actually moved my family out there, so we're one big happy family.
Awesome. And what is the format? You can work out of their offices. They have that gym they've converted. I've been there for the Open Angel Forum. So you work out of the office every day?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. It's your company. That's what they always say. Right. There's like a founder's quiet room where all the companies can work, and then there's an open area where you can collaborate. I think that's one of the not so published benefits of being a part of Techstars. You're with 10 other companies all not really competitive, but all in the similar time in their growth.
So if somebody's having a problem with CSS or HTML, they can raise their hand and say, yo, my CSS sucks. I'm having a problem. Does anybody know how to fix this?
Yeah, that's right. And it's almost like a fraternity after you get out. You know, everybody helps each other from the previous companies.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
What were the companies in your year? Who was in your graduating class of 2008?
Yes, so Foodsy out in the Bay Area does artisan food.
Yep.
We had let's see, Igniter doing group dating. We had Dever doing coding tools for Ruby developers.
Cool.
So all different ranges.
So you highly recommend it?
Highly recommend. Yeah, I don't think we'd be where we were without it. I mean, just the for me, it was access to a network and mentors that would take me years to do as an entrepreneur without that. You know.
That summer probably represents 3 years of entrepreneurship.
I think so.
It's just so. I mean, if an entrepreneur gets to work on 3 companies in their life, you're basically working on 10 in one summer. I mean, you get exposure to all 10.
Right.
And they do a weekly dinner, or that's Y
Sure,
Combinator that does it?
They do food, and they bring in mentors.
Right.
Another cool thing what they do is they bring
Right,
in
they asked me to speak the last couple of years, and I haven't done it. But now that I've been there, I'm so impressed. I'm like, I'm an idiot. I should have been doing this the last 3 years. I'm definitely going to speak this summer if they ask me.
It was cool. I mean, you do a speech, and then you get to meet with the teams one-on-one. So that was the real value, right? So they tell you, they pick someone, a subject area expert, and then you can meet with them one-on-one and really share.
Hey, Tyler, can we talk to David about maybe going out in the summer and doing that one time? Mm-hmm. I would totally be into it. Okay, we have our Shark Tank caller, and let me first, before we start the Shark Tank, thank DNA Mail. DNA Mail, everybody loves DNA Mail. If you need to host a bunch of Exchange or Google Apps emails, you don't need to put up your own server. You don't need to have an IT department. This is not a good idea. You just pay for users. There's no other cost, and it's reliable with 99.9% uptime. Do you host your own email servers?
No.
Why not?
Well, I don't know. It's just too much work.
It's too much work. And why would you if you can just hire somebody
That's right.
that's amazing like DNA Mail, DNA Mail. Everybody loves DNA Mail. Tyler, who do you love?
DNA Mail?
Of course you do. We all love DNA Mail, and I would like to thank them for sponsoring the show. They've re-upped. I think that DNA Mail now, we have such loyal sponsors, and I think DNA Mail has now re-upped to 2017. They're officially sponsoring for the next 7 years of the program. So let's go right into the Shark Tank.
I need money. What I want, that's what I want. That's what I want. What I want. That's what I want.
Okay, the Shark Tank, the Shark Tank. Everybody loves the Shark Tank. We're going to do a 10-minute Shark Tank, and at 2 p.m. sharp, we are going to announce the winner of the Bing Perfect Pitch Contest. So, do we have the caller? There we go. Okay. Nope. Said I missed a call here. One more time, let's try. Nope. Is my call going directly to voicemail or something? Okay. There's the call. And I pick up on a speakerphone. Hello, hello, hello. Steven, are you there? Call dropped. Oh, there's one more time. Here we go. 4th time's a charm. Stefan, are you there? Steven, are you there? Steven. Whoa, 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 whoa.
He's there because he's feeding back.
He must be there because he's feeding back. I would have to rate this pitch a 0 so far. Okay, 5th time's a charm. Here we go. Steven.
Hello.
Oh my God, yes. 5th time's a charm,
Wow.
as we always say. I'm sure this is going to be worth the wait. Steven, you are calling from the 0044. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from a couple of hours outside of London, in the countryside.
You're in the countryside of London. What time is it there?
It is 10 to 10 at night.
10 p.m. You stayed up late for the show. Have you been listening to the show for a while?
Since the beginning, yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Okay, so you've seen all the episodes. Have you? Do you watch it live or do you watch it on your iPhone, iPod, computer?
Mixture. At the beginning, I was catching up with it via the podcast when I was kind of driving to my day job, and and then caught a few live episodes quite early on, around 6 or 7.
Lovely.
6 or 7, and then just try to catch it whenever I can live. It's always good to join the banter in the chat room. So yeah,
lovely, and you literally watch the show live in outside of London at 10 p.m.
That's great.
Spot of tea, crumpet,
absolutely, man.
Bangers and mash. Watch a little This Week at Startups. I love it.
Yes,
when are we going? When are we going to London again, Tyler? OAF has got to come to
Open Angel
London.
Forum, London, yeah.
Open Angel Forum's coming to London. You know, we're going to have Open Angel Forum in London. We've had so many people. That is like, I would say, in the top 5 cities that people have been saying, like, I'll help. And you have all that Dragon's Den, and you have tons of bankers and wankers all offering money to startups there, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
And now it's crazy because in London they said the whole economy crashed, all of the real estate crashed, it was the end of the world, and now I read that they're setting all new, it's all picking up, and now they're setting records. Okay, so you have 60 seconds, you know the name of the game. We are going to rate your pitch on a scale of 1 to 10, how good a job you did pitching, and we're going to rate the quality of your idea from 1 to 10. Everybody in the chat room, please get ready and listen attentively. Andy, you know what to do? We're going to give him a rating from 1 to 10. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, cool. Well, Fidget Stick is a global online community for adventurous people. We are, in effect, the GDGT of the adventure space. As Ryan Block kind of said to me, we've got to focus on our product, so that's what we're doing. There are over 150 million active participants in the most popular adventure sports, and exponentially more people who are inactive but associate really with the lifestyle aspect. So our relentless aim is to get the inactive off their behinds, those fat bastards that you're talking about,
yes,
and over that first hurdle, and helping the active to do more by breaking down barriers to participation and retention. So how are we doing this? Using extended profile information, activities, interests, ability levels, and most importantly, their individual goals to suggest new connections that can help them, instructors to students, that sort of thing. And we're connecting also people through their kit and to their kit through the community. So if there's a sector who is just as obsessed with their products as much as tech and gadgets, it's us, absolutely. We're building partnerships with companies like Andy's to provide relevant external applications and also developing our own, particularly in the areas of real-time content, mobile communications, and building on external APIs. In terms of distribution, we're generating groundswell kind of with a multi-directional approach, targeting industry leaders and champions to build credibility and consumers directly to build virality and momentum.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good job. I don't know if I let you go over a minute, but I was fascinating, so I didn't feel like stopping you. And I think I'm pulling up your site right here. So if I am understanding you correctly, you are a social network that pivots people around around the active lifestyle, around activities like kayaking, hiking, running, mountain climbing, etc.
Alternative kind of activities, broadly speaking, yeah.
Right. So you are like, and I love this, the GDGT of outdoor activities, which also means you're the Goodreads of active lifestyle, which means you're the Flickster or Orters of active lifestyle. You came across very clear and explained the value proposition, which is you get to connect with other people who have similar interests, and maybe you can learn from them or connect with them to go on trips. I thought your pitch was pretty clear. I didn't get exactly what the business model is. However, I don't need to, because I know that anybody who's doing one of these active lifestyles, especially if they're doing something like mountain biking or kayaking, spends a shootload of money on it. So I give your pitch like a 7, 8, or 9. It's just very clear. I give the business an 8, 9, or 10. I think that these businesses are going to do very well in their spaces. They're sort of like blogs, but better. Obviously, I'm an investor in GDGT, so I have an affinity for them. I think you knocked it out of the park. You did a great job. Andy, what did you think?
I'm always overly critical, but I do think it was pretty good. I had a hard time really getting at what it was for some reason. It wasn't clear immediately. I guess I'm always been a product guy, so what is it from the beginning? The idea is good. I think I would rank that, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
I would be.
But a little too much buzzword, or not enough like actually describing of the product?
Yeah. Well, bring up Techstars. I mean, that was 60 seconds is a long time for me to figure out what it is. I like to know in the first 2 or 3 sentences. So.
Right. So how would you say, now that you know what it is, think for a second, how would you describe his product?
At first, I would say something like, we bring people together who participate in outdoor active activities or something like that.
Right.
Just to frame it first.
Right.
Right.
So we're a social network or a groups platform for people who are involved in outdoor activities like kayaking, mountain climbing, etc. And then you're saying very clearly why they need to get put together. They need to get put together because if you're a mountain climber or a kayaker, you need people to go kayaking with.
Right.
That is really the main reason, is to find partners for these things, is it not, Stephen?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the main barriers for normal everyday people who should be leading a more adventurous life. One of the main barriers is their own social network, and they end up going out doing these things alone, and eventually they give up doing it because no one,
it sucks to do it alone. It sucks to do it alone. So you solve that problem. And now, so it has a little bit of a meetup kind of a thing. So that's another way you could describe it, is to say we are a verticalized meetup.com. So instead of being a platform for every type of, meetup, we're doing meetups for specific activities, adventure activities, to have people have more exciting lives. I like it a lot. I'm going to ask everybody in the chat room to vote. While I do that, I want to hear Tyler, who is an expert, who has helped me for 3 years prepare the TechCrunch 50 audience and helped select them and helped select the Open Angel Forum audience. Given your many years of expertise on this, Tyler, how did he do pitching? How did he do on the idea?
My constructive criticism on the verbal pitch side of things is he did get rather verbose.
It was verbose.
And it got a bit buzzy, and you came off very intelligent, which is great, and passionate about it, and you got something cool going on, but you got to leave them wanting more. Like, design it to leave them wanting more, and it felt like
he just kept going.
You were going to go until somebody said, "I got it."
Right. So you have to know when to stop.
Right.
You ever given Stephen? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever given a girl a compliment?
Ask my wife, and she'll give you a very definitive answer.
Right. Okay. So you didn't even answer that question. So I think you have a little bit of the speak too much and too clever for your own good in you. When you meet a girl, you don't need to say you have beautiful eyes, a beautiful chin, great ears, I love your blouse, your shoes are great. You gotta just keep it simple. Like, I'm gonna look right in the camera.
I was always told I couldn't give a compliment properly.
I'm gonna teach you right now. I'm gonna teach you right now. Stephen, look right into the video.
I'm looking.
Stephen, did anybody ever tell you have beautiful eyes? You give him a little one of those. You have beautiful eyes.
You know why that's engaging?
And you need to let that silence for a second. Just let it hang out there. How beautiful your eyes are, Stephen. Go ahead, Tyler.
But you even phrased it as a question, which is, has anybody ever told you?
Right.
Which forces them to feel like, okay, now it's up to me to respond. Right. I'm engaged in this exchange.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And if anybody has game, it is Tyler. Let me tell you, I've traveled around the world with Tyler, and I've had people I've literally seen women in Japan, Korea,
and London
come up on the street and start talking to him. In fact, one woman who had a couple of drinks here in Korea put his arms around him and would not leave him. We had walked literally for 5 blocks with a drunk woman attached to Tyler's arm. And you understand Tyler is my attaché? And
sure.
You ever hear of the place Adams Street, the club in London? Adams Street, I think it's called.
It's a members-only club.
Members-only club. And Tyler was holding court in London with the fine women of the UK while I'm trying to get business done. And he's supposed to be my attaché, setting up things for me. Paul Carr's taking my platinum card, and he's charging up $28 scotches while Tyler is holding court with the supermodels in your country, which seems to have an abundance of them. Anyway, you did good. It's a good idea. You should apply to Open Angel Forum London if we can get that ever started. And the audience, gosh, in the chat room is just saying pitch 7, 6, 7, 6, 8, and the idea 6, 8, 8, 7, 8. You're right there on the higher end of the spectrum. You did a great job. Scott Simcoe will be in touch, superfan Scott Simcoe, blogger, and we want to keep in touch with you and hear how you do. That's great. Can I just point out, just for the benefit of the guys in the chat room and stuff, the site that you actually showed is a new site. It's not been launched yet. Right. We just set that up specifically for you, Jason. Right. And we're hoping to put it live next week. Right. So people can see it at our main domain, which is fidgetstick.com. And they but you got the new sexy Twitter as well. Yeah, the new sexy one. And what is your Twitter? Fidget Sticks? Fidget Stick? Follow Fidget Stick and my personal one, which is Retro Steve, like my username in the chat room. That'd be awesome. Awesome. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Jason. Okay. See you guys. Bye. Cool.
I'm thinking there's got to be a clever pitch on words with the idea of disconnecting, because a lot of what he's doing is you're disconnecting. So, sure. But he's connecting people to disconnect somehow. So.
Let's get Stefan on the line here. Stefan, are you there?
I'm here. How you guys doing?
We're good. We're good. Thank you for Skyping in. Wow, we've had an incredible week of people, incredible couple of weeks for this Bing Perfect Pitch Contest. The competition has been fierce. I have recused myself from the voting. I have let the staff of This Week in Startups and Stefan's team pick the winner. We had so many incredible companies. Tyler, what were the companies who were in competition?
Oh, let me get them for you.
Pull them up for a second. Stefan, how was this process of selecting the winner before you announced it?
Oh, it was. I felt bad for one big reason, which during the show that I was on, the guys who came on and pitched, and I gave them kind of a low score, not really recognizing the impact that might have on the overall process here. So I wanted to adjust that up. But overall, the pitches that we saw, I mean, you see more pitches than I do, but I see a ton coming to us for different reasons. And what's missing in so many of them is that, unfortunately, that the most basic thing you can ask for as a guy who's pitching, which is just the quick and dirty, let me understand if I'm even interested in talking to you for another 20 minutes after you pitch. And all of these pitches that we saw at least grabbed my attention. They got me pulled in. I wanted to hear more, which was a really good sign, I thought, of just the quality of stuff that we saw.
Yeah, I have to agree. The people have been doing a better and better job. It's like as the program evolves, I think the sophistication of the people pitching evolves, which means we're really getting our job done here on This Week in Startups. People are listening to the advice, and then every week you see the scores go from 3, 4s, and 5s, 5, 6, and 7s. Now it's basically, if you get on the show, you're probably going to have a 7 or an 8 on your pitch quality because you can't get on the show with a lower pitch quality than that. Tyler, who were the finalists here? Give me the highlights.
It came down to Propadoo.
Propadoo, I remember, give props over Twitter.
Yes, brand yourself, brand-yourself.
Right, that was the company from Syracuse or something like that. Albany,
Syracuse.
Whatever.
Yep. Maroon Door.
Maroon Door, everybody remembers.
HOA communities.
That was the, you have a, what do they call it, a condo committee or co-op?
Homeowner
Association, right.
Yeah, they were good.
Influads.
Influads, remember, yep.
Shirty App, which was
Shirty App was brilliant.
Make a shirt from your iPhone, very clever. Babelflix.
Yep.
There Now.
Yep.
And Timeshare Juice.
Timeshare Juice, which I've seen a lot of as well. So I don't know who won. I don't know who won the audience award. I don't know who won the Bing Perfect Pitch Contest. I think, I'm going to tell you who I think, because I've recused myself, are the two lead candidates. Okay. I think it's going to be between Maroon Door and Timeshare Juice. And Shirty would be a close third because it's just got the cool factor. However, those other two businesses I would consider investing in, and they created the most discourse post-show and on the chat room and with the guests. So I think that those are the two finalists. Tell me who are our finalists, and then, Stefan, you can tell us who won.
Well, the two finalists that we picked here in the show were Maroon Door and Timeshare Juice.
Okay. Stefan, who won?
The winner of the Bing Perfect Pitch Contest is Timeshare Juice.
Okay. Very good. Congratulations to Timeshare Juice.
Congratulations. I was just talking to the Creature guys. I was there with them last Thursday, and they're really excited to. Hey, what's up? I'm at a party we're throwing here in London for Bing, so apologize. I snuck into a conference room off the party, and I'm here doing this from London. So anyway, talked to the Creature guys last week. They're really excited to help Timeshare Juice really goose that pitch and offer some branding consultation courtesy of Creature Seattle. So excellent work, everybody. Awesome stuff.
Great. Awesome job. Thanks for all the support, and keep kicking ass over at Bing. We love you guys for all the support, and congratulations to our winners. And yes, Tyler?
The audience choice, though,
was?
Propadu won audience.
Propadu won audience choice.
Yeah. Oh, good. That was a good one, too.
Okay. I am going to make an offer to the 2 winners. In addition, this is a surprise offer. Each of the winners will get to come here and maybe in the next 6 months, if they continue to grow, they will get to show their product live on This Week in Startups. So they get to be on the program in 3-6 months, show the latest version whenever they upgrade it, and be on the program for 15 minutes or so. We get them both in the same week. Or they can Skype in, whatever. So they all get to be on the program and have lunch with us here at the home office in Santa Monica. Stefan, thanks again. Enjoy London.
Good gig. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Cheers.
Thanks,
bye.
Evan.
Okay.
Bye.
Wow, that was great. Congratulations to the winners. I sort of feel bad for Maroon Door. They sort of got left out in the cold there.
I love that idea, though.
Everybody loved Maroon Door. I feel bad for Maroon Door. You know what? In life, there has to be winners. There has to be losers.
Oh, it's time. It's a timing thing. Timeshare Juice is a little more developed.
I think it's a little more developed. I think if you given Maroon Door 6 months from now, it might be just as impressive as Timeshare 6 months ago, or 6 months from then. I mean, listen, DailyBurn failed in 2007.
There you go.
It was a disaster. Then you've come back with hundreds of thousands of revenue and just 5 employees. What was life like after you got out of Techstars? Because that's a little bit of a honeymoon, right? You're there for 10 weeks, 12 weeks. It's very exciting, but then after that, you've got to actually run your company and make this sustainable, et cetera. What was it like after you got out?
Oh, it's hard to keep the buzz, right? I mean, you have that community. I mean, some teams actually stay in the bunker for a while. We were a distributed team for now, and actually went home. So, keeping it going. There were still 2 of us at the end, and we were really focused on fundraising at that time. So that's a really busy time. So we had no time to come down off that high. Really, it was just go.
So you get out of there, you immediately start doing an angel round, and how does that go? Does having David Cohen behind you and the sort of Techstars open up a lot of doors? Does he introduce you to people?
Yeah. So at the end of Techstars, there's an investor day, and so but we had already met a lot of interested investors through the Techstars network while they're there. Yeah, we closed a $500K round.
Wow.
In a hard time. It was December of 2007, so pretty tough.
Yeah.
But we're
December
pleased to get it.
2008.
December 2008. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. In the middle of the darkest recession, people thought it was going to be a depression. You just boom, blow out a quick.
It takes a lot of time, but we did it, and we're happy. We got Founders Fund and Dave McClure and some other really
great
good,
people
involved. So
you got Founders Fund, Dave McClure, and some other folks involved. Those are big names. $500,000, decent amount of money. Everybody gets to get a salary. I take it then, not a great salary, but a decent salary, livable salary.
Right.
You got a family.
3 kids.
You have 3 kids.
3 kids.
So I have to ask you this because I have 1 kid now. How the hell do you do that?
You have a good wife. That's my story. I mean, Lauren has been unbelievable. Now, she always wanted to stay home, so she stays home with the kids. But
right.
Just having that support, right? Couldn't do it. I don't know how I could do it without that. So
I have a whole new appreciation for moms. My mom, your mom, everybody's mom. I tweeted it this morning because I am dying and I'm not even doing 10% of the work. And I'm dying. I can't imagine what these women go through with the no sleeping and the breastfeeding and the just exhaustion. They're burning 1,000 calories with the breastfeeding, and it's just brutal. How do you convince your wife, though, that you are going to pursue this crazy dream of putting kiosks in? You get turned down by Techstars, and still she says, okay, keep spending our money and not having a job at, X big company that would pay you 10 times the no money you're making now or infinite time. I mean, what are those conversations like?
She's a believer. I mean, you know, we had a company before this, and that did pretty well. So I'd gone through the whole bootstrap. You know, at that time we were at negative money. It was a brand new baby. So
you were in debt in the first company.
Yeah, we like to put a lot of stress on ourselves, I guess. But you know, it went well, right? So I'd proven I could do it again.
You had sold that company?
Not exactly, but it did well for a long time.
I see. So you made money.
Made money. So
good.
So that was, you know,
squirreled a little bit away.
Right, able to live off that to bootstrap the next one. So it wasn't as bad.
You used the fumes from the last one to propel the second one. But that means you had a limited amount of your own runway.
Right.
Clock's ticking. Mortgage payments happening, diaper payments happening, whatever the case may be. You find that pressure increases your performance, distracts you? What does it do? Does you not think about it?
It didn't think about it too much. I mean, I really didn't feel like we had an option to fail. We were really trying hard, so I guess it didn't have too big an effect. I mean, there was toward the end before the funding. I've burned through savings. I've been doing this a year and a half. You know, it's tough, but you know, ultimately believed in it, and we saw the numbers. Things were going good. We just had to close.
So when you close the angel round, do you get to pay back the loan that you gave the company, or take a little bit out so you can pay off your bills, or?
We didn't do it that way.
Right.
I mean, we just started taking a salary that we could live on, and you know,
so then your wife is thrilled. Oh my God, a salary after a year and a half of no salary?
Right.
She is a saint. It's always interesting, and that must have made you incredibly appealing to the investors. When they find out that you have gone into debt or burned your savings to build this company, they must just think, gee, this guy is committed, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of sweat equity. We believed it, so
right.
I think that does help.
Yeah, I agree. That totally has helped me in my career. And just people say, like, wow, you're putting your ass on the line for this? Wow, that makes it easier for me to write a check, since I'm giving you money from LPs. It's not even, you know, Founders Fund's giving you money that's not even there. So they get to, you know, they don't have to sweat it at night if it doesn't. They sweat it a little bit, but, you know, if they sweat it too big. And what now? You know, you've got this successful business. It's still very high profile. People are buying it. Do you do the Munster A round next, or what's next?
We got to get a lot of options, so it's just good, right? So we're profitable now.
Always good.
And it's real profitable too. Like I've heard people say, you know, I'm not paying myself $100, and
right.
we make 125, so we're profitable. But yeah, so we got a couple options, right? Where we can take another angel round. We're raising $2 million right now.
Oh wow!
So we're going for it.
So that's the A round.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Right, and so we can do a number of different ways, and they all have different pros and cons that we're figuring out. And the good thing is we can do it either way. Right now we have offers from each, so we're just trying to figure it out. You know.
And the company is virtual. There's 5 employees spread to the 4 corners.
Yeah, so we're in Victoria, Canada, upstate New York, and Denver, and I'm actually in Huntsville, Alabama now. And the plan is to locate the core team together as we grow, because as this kind of round is, okay, we need to build an organization. We have the technology, we've shown it can work. Now I need to remove myself as some of the bottleneck to marketing and biz dev and these things. So those people need to be where I am. So we're going to come together.
So that must be really exciting to see the organization go from being this remote organization, you know, scrappy, whatever, and now we're going to build a true organization that's sustainable with an office.
Yeah.
And a receptionist, perhaps even.
Maybe that would be nice.
That'd be crazy if somebody, maybe a phone number. No, don't get the phone number. That's when you got problems.
Somebody got my cell phone number, and that's the only number out there somehow. So that's real fun.
Yeah, that's always a problem. So you're picking what city to put it in. I'm assuming the Valley.
Maybe it's kind of up in the air right now.
So take me through your thought process on that. Where do you, and where are people pushing you to go? Is David Cohen saying you got to be in Boulder?
Oh, sure, they would want us in Boulder. Denver's a good place for us.
It's a great place.
We are considering Denver pretty strongly. You know, Boulder, Denver area, healthiest. I'll be moving from one of the most unhealthy states to the healthiest state.
Really? I didn't know that.
Alabama, not so good.
Why is Alabama not good? Is everybody overweight there?
Deep fried food, I guess. I mean, and lack of knowledge. There's a lot of reasons. The
obesity problem in this country, I mean, getting into your core business now of DailyBurn, is unbelievable. It's beyond an epidemic.
Yeah, I think if we can change it'll impact the country in so many different ways. It's unbelievable. Like healthcare, obviously, but just productivity, just life, right? And I have a real passion for that. I mean, that's what we read about and think about. Is just how can we fix that? Because
you're a parent.
It's sad.
I'm a new parent. Yeah. It's true. It's turning into This Week in Parenting. But I read a statistic in the New York Times or Wall Street Journal that Americans drink, let me ask Tyler, since it's very insightful, how many gallons of soda do you think Americans drink, an individual American drinks on average per year? How many gallons of soda does an American drink per year? And you may know the answer to this as well, but let's have Tyler take a guess.
I'm going to guess 200 gallons.
200 gallons. 50 weeks a year, that's about 4 gallons a week, which would be a gallon every other day. Just to do the quick math.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I should know this because I saw you say something about it on Twitter a while ago, but I don't know. It's like a gallon a day or something like that.
It's 50 gallons a year. It's a gallon of soda a week, which is a quart of soda every other day, which is a half quart of soda, which is a pint of soda, whatever. The point is, people are giving their children a gallon of soda a week? Is it child abuse to give your child a gallon of soda a week? Yes or no? In your mind, personally, do you believe it's child abuse?
Yeah. Well, I would never do it, and I think it's terrible. I mean, I really do.
So you consider child abuse? I do. I think you consider it child abuse to give your child a gallon of soda a week?
As child abuse is currently conceptualized, technically not, but should we start considering it? Maybe if that's what it takes to get parents to realize that they're harming their kids.
So you think I'm being inflammatory in some way, perhaps, to make a point?
No. Jason Calacanis would never do such a thing.
Somebody said that to me just the other day, like, on Twitter, like, I think you're being inflammatory. I was like, how long have you been following me on Twitter exactly? It is insane.
It really is. It's not just soda, right? I mean, it's junk food and everything else.
But it does seem to be that if you were to pick the number one offender and the number two offender, it's soda, fast food, and then probably sugar. In that, like sugary desserts and that kind of stuff. Is that the main problem? If we got rid of soda, that's 7 or 8% of Americans' calorie intake. I think that would be the most effective thing we could do.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think if you want to really boil it down, we need to be eating, well, I think meat, but meat, nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables, and just lose the rest. Drink water, and we make a huge difference. So.
Yeah.
Just get rid. I mean, I don't like the processed food and all the chemicals that go in.
Right.
And, I mean.
Yeah, but you make this iPhone application that reads barcodes.
It's true. You can do the other too.
I heard about this thing. I'm like, I don't eat food that has barcodes. Yep. I realized, or very rarely do I eat things with barcodes.
But it causes awareness, and I think that makes change. That's what we see. So, sure, we want you to track fast. If you're going to eat it, and sometimes I'll eat it like a Cliff Builder bar or something that's processed, right? But.
Okay, so you eat a Cliff Bar once in a while. That has some things. So you get the idea. But I mean, if you put in Twinkies, what does it do? Does the iPhone explode? I mean,
it should vibrate a little bit.
It should vibrate. Like, what are you doing to yourself?
Have you seen our joke? We have called Fat Burner, that you take the iPhone, you put it on your stomach, and it shakes, and it can vibrate the fat away.
That's awesome.
Probably shouldn't have said that. I think Steven wanted me to take that down.
So the space that you're in, of tracking, what you do.
Yeah.
I've started tracking my weight on the Weaving scale.
Right.
And you can import that, I think, into DailyBurn.
Yeah.
What impact does this feedback loop have on people in your experience? Do you have any studies? I found that now with the Weavings, the fact that my weight gets sent to my iPhone, I have lost 5 pounds since using it in 2 months, and I look at my phone and I'm just like, I see the graph and I'm motivated to not binge on food.
True. You manage what you measure, like Mark Suster talks about that.
You manage what you measure.
Yeah.
Manage what you measure. So what that means is?
It means, if you're measuring your food, you're measuring your weight, and you're going to make changes because of that, right? You see the scale's motivating, right? You see it going down.
Yes.
And I can do this. I can keep going.
Right. And you see the muscle mass going up and the fat going down, which is the thing that I really like because we've been doing Fit Club here at Mahalo. How do we solve the epidemic in the United States? I mean, there was Jamie Oliver had that talk at TED. I mean, is this just education, or is it feedback? Is it regulation and laws? I mean, if you were in charge of the country and you could wave your magic wand and you could do 3 things in order, what would they be? What's your solution to the problem?
Part of it is education, but I think a lot of it is there's so much that people think is good for them. I mean, I'll be talking with someone, they think, I should be eating this, and they think it's healthy, right? So it is an education problem, I think, because people really don't know what to eat. There's an increasing number of people who want to eat good or exercise more, but they don't know what to do. So it is partly an education problem. Our approach at DailyBurn has been public motivation is good. So if you make a public goal, and you invite your friends that will help you.
Sure.
We have challenges.
Like peer groups and
peer
stuff
groups,
like that.
and you have challenges like, especially males on the site, really like competitive, right? So I'm gonna beat you at this. So I think that kind of motivation, accountability is good, but laws are tempting, but I don't know if that's really the
Right.
solution.
External law. Hey, everybody's talking about the sugar tax, and I don't know what to think on this one. The tax on soda. We put a tax on cigarettes. Cigarette consumption goes down. It's pretty linear correlation. Soda as damaging as smoking, perhaps, or second to smoking in terms of leading cause of death. Type 2 diabetes in children, like, it's unbelievable. If we put a 2 cent per ounce or a penny an ounce on soda tax, would it drive down consumption in your mind?
So I'm not super educated on it, but I think it would. Like my gut says, like, yeah, we should do whatever we can to not give. Another problem is, the other stuff is cheaper too. It's not just soda, right? It's a lot of the stuff with the refined carbohydrates and right. So it's cheaper. It is cheaper to eat unhealthy, right? And
that's the Food Inc. story. You've seen the film, I'm sure.
Right.
Not as good a film as The Cove on a film basis in my mind. Did you see The Cove?
I didn't see that one.
Oh man,
Good.
you gotta see The Cove. Especially in light of what happened with the orca. I wish we would just call them orcas instead of killer whales. Anyway, yeah, people can eat and feed a family of your family. 5 people could go to the dollar menu and eat for $10. And if they tried to cook healthy food and went to Whole Foods, it would cost $20. And it would take time to cook it.
But you got to look at there is true, but you also have to look at the long-term effects, right? If you increase your spending now, some degree, it doesn't have to be crazy expensive. You can be smart about it. Just think about how you can live longer. It pays off the last 20, 30 years of your life, big time, right? So it's almost like an investment. You have to invest. The same with working out. It's an investment in yourself long term. If you start thinking about it as in terms of an investment, like money, right? Money.
If you take care of yourself now, and unfortunately our whole healthcare system is also FUBAR'd, have you thought about trying to loop your product into sort of healthcare, or do the healthcare people not care at this point?
They do care.
Insurance companies.
We have a lot of interest in that, and I think that is probably in our long-term strategy. I think for us, it's let's go straight to the consumer right now. We got a lot of momentum. Long-term, I'd love to see DailyBurn helping corporate wellness. There's all sorts of things we can do.
So you get IBM to offer DailyBurn for free to their entire company, and they pay you for a bundled product, and you get to run contests across the whole country. And maybe it lowers their insurance premiums.
It does. I mean, it's proven that all that does. And right now, lots of them will say, okay, if you go to the gym or if you have a gym membership,
right,
we'll reduce your healthcare costs. But
how do you know there's any compliance there?
Right. And then the next step people do is, if you went to the gym, but then you see people at the gym just reading their bike or reading their magazine.
Not exactly.
So, for us, we could really say, you could say actual progress. You could do if they're tracking things. But I mean, that's long term. I mean,
that seems like an amazing strategy. Special thanks to WebSpy. We do like a commercial every 15 minutes. It's very awkward for the guests, I think. They're like all of a sudden like, wow, we're just such a great rhythm. But WebSpy has done an amazing job. They monitor all kinds of server activity. I Spy, You Spy, we all WebSpy. From employees, internet access to mail service to web hosts, analyze for traffic levels, patterns, errors, and more. A total log analysis solution. Logs pick up all activity so you can see things that you can't block with any available solution. WebSpy has done a great job for us as a sponsor, and we appreciate you thanking the sponsors. If you are a fan of the program, it is your Geary. Correct, Tyler?
Yes.
To thank the sponsors. Your humble, honorable Geary to say thank you at Bing. Thank you at DNAML. Thank you at WebSpy. Thank you at PowerVPS. Thank you at Ustream. Thank the sponsors, Bing, DNAML, WebSpy, PowerVPS, and Ustream. On Twitter, they love when you thank them. They get those messages, and it really means a lot that they hear from you in terms of them supporting the program. And let me tell you something, Tyler's rider gets longer and longer each week. The demands have gotten out of control, mochas, lattes, all kinds of different Starbucks beverages. So what next for the company? I mean, you got the raise, you got the move. How are you going to pick the VCs?
It's a good
What are you looking for in a VC?
Yeah, we're really looking for reach into some other markets, healthcare, different things. But honestly, it's kind of we got to get a good feel for who we're working with.
The personality of the individual partner.
Personality, but I know that can change, right? At any time, like
they could flip it.
Yeah.
Guy gets fired.
Yeah.
Or leaves.
Right. But it's still somewhat important of the overall VC group, right?
How many VCs have you met with? How many do you think you'll meet with during this process?
We've met with a lot, and that's why I'm out here.
10, 20?
Yeah, 10, 15.
Wow.
Yeah. So the good thing is we have a lot of interest, which is good. And
how do those meetings go? Somebody sets that up for you. You email them blind. You ask Founders Fund to set it up. How does it go?
You can get in blind, but you got to have a connection, a warm intro, and that makes the big difference. So you got to use your network. You got to.
So David Cohen or Founders Fund or Dave McClure.
Those are great place.
Those guys would send an email for you.
Sure.
Little email intro.
Right. So the power of the Techstars network continues.
Right?
But but then they make introductions to. I mean, I've met a lot of entrepreneurs and then they can make introductions too. So you gotta have the warm intro though. That's what
the warm intro
true.
Is good.
That's very true.
Worst experience you've had pitching, and then I'll tell you mine.
So we were. It was this week.
Nobody's gonna know who it is.
I'm not gonna say who it is.
Of course
right?
not. I wouldn't say who it is in mine.
It's super cold. They just really you go in. It's like you are dog feces, right? It's really had that feel to it.
Really?
They come in, hadn't seen the business plan, I had my deck up. I didn't even go in it, of course. And you got a great business. You're going to sell for millions of dollars. Going through all this fluff. Right. They didn't know anything about us or the business. So it was just just give me a break. And called us Daily Candy. That was really good. Didn't even know the name of the company.
Oh, that's bad. That's like when you're with a girl and you're like, listen, Stephanie, I love you. That's the wrong. You call a company by the wrong name.
Yes.
Oh man, I had that happen with Weblog Sync where people say I love Gizmodo. I'm like, I don't. I'm competing with them. We're trying to destroy them. They're like, I mean a gadget. Oh my God, I didn't really mean that.
And then afterwards, so you want to go to lunch? Oh no, I'm really kind of full.
Yeah. I think that some of these VCs don't realize how bad they come across. That's why I like the site The Funded that Adeo does. It's like you actually get to go put your review like this up there, and VC behavior can be very bad.
It's all over the board. But
it's all over the board. You have some guys who are incredibly courteous. And really the interesting thing for me was the guys who were the best, the guys who had the best track records treated me the best. The guys with the worst track records were the worst behaved.
Yeah.
My worst story, Mahalo raising the second round of funding. A friend of mine says, you need to meet this venture capital firm. Should I say it? I don't know if I want to be a jerk or not.
I don't have to say who it is.
I know, but it's kind of like, why wouldn't I say? I mean, I don't care what they think about me. And it was, I tell you what, I'll tell the story, and then I'm going to let everybody else vote if I should do it or not, if I should say. So anyway, I have many people available to raise the second round of funding for Mahalo. It was during a hot market. We have a hot idea. I'm coming off a hot Weblog Sync sale. It was a pretty good time to do it. Like you guys, you got profitable, so you get a lot of meetings. Guy says, first meeting was great. Need you to come up for a second meeting. Okay. Come up for the second meeting. I'm in my car, driving. See, I have a message. Now, I'm from Los Angeles. I pick up the phone message. Hi, it's Dumbass from Dumbass Venture Firm. I talked to my partners. We can't get comfortable with the valuation range you're looking for, so we're not going to be able to meet today. This is a message left at 10 o'clock for an 11 or 11:30 meeting. I was on an 8 a.m. effing flight. So I'm like, this is bizarre. I am going to go to his office to talk to him. I'm not just going to turn around. I'm not like some blank. I am going to confront this person. So I go to the office. I walk in. I said, I have a meeting with dumbass of dumbass firm. And the woman goes, oh, yes, he called to cancel. I said, I know he called to cancel. I would like to speak with him. And she says, oh, well, you know, he's not available. And I said, is he here in the building? She goes, well, let me check. I said, I know he's here. I just want to talk to him because, you know, I flew up here from California and he canceled as my flight was in the air. Is it normal that you cancel an hour and a half before a meeting when somebody's flying in from another city? Can you believe this story?
Good.
And he comes out and he is panicked because he thinks his other partners are going to see me there. Now, I would not want to have a pissed off Jason Calacanis in my lobby if I was a first year, second year guy. But I didn't need to take this meeting. A friend of mine asked me as a favor to him for me to come to the meeting because he wanted to make him look good to have me in a meeting there. And he says, I'm really sorry. I couldn't get my partners comfortable with the valuation. I'm like, I flew here. I'm busy. I had to cancel stuff to be here. I have term sheets. I don't need to be here. He says, let me buy you sushi. And I said to him, don't ever call me or contact me again. And it's really stupid to, and I was on fire. I said, you don't ask the guy who's got multiple term sheets, who you just left like a schmuck outside your office, and who could buy the effing sushi restaurant. I said to his face, I could buy the fucking sushi restaurant. I don't need you to buy me lunch. I was on fire. Did I just curse? 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm getting on fire about it. Punchline is, that dumbass venture fund says to me, I tell the story to every other VC I know with his name. And I tell it to every other entrepreneur I know. And anytime anybody ever says the name of the VC firm, I tell them that story. It gets back to him. He comes up to me at the D conference and says, can I talk to you? I said, no. I told you, you never speak to me again. He said, I really need to talk to you. This is last year, or the year before. I said, okay, you can speak to me for 1 minute. Go. And he says, I just want to apologize for what I said. You know, I've never been more insulted in my entire career. And to the day I die, I'm going to tell people how you treated me. Never speak to me again. Same exact message. Just 3 years after the fact. I'm not exactly the most well-adjusted person when it comes to these things. But I just thought this was the most outrageous behavior ever. Because, why is this the most outrageous behavior ever? I need to hear you guys. What would be, if you were him, what would you have done? Your partners say, we're not comfortable with this valuation. What do you say to your partners? What do you do knowing the person's on the way there? What would be the gentlemanly thing to do? What would be the... I'm asking people in the chat room as well. What would you do?
I think you got to call and ask him, you know.
But let's say let's say what happened to him was partners say at 9 a.m., what valuation? No, it's too high. We'll never do the deal at that. We can't take this meeting. What do you say to your partners? It's so obvious. Come on, guys. Take the meeting anyway. What is the downside? And everybody here's saying it. Have the meeting anyway. Pay for his flight. Take the meeting. Talk about the valuation. Take the meeting. Smile. Pull partners into the meeting anyway. Do the meeting. It would cost them nothing to just have the meeting and say, wow, Jason, that is an incredible presentation. We think you're going to be the most successful guy on the planet. We're blown away. The valuation is a problem for us. In this valuation range, it would be very exciting for us. In this valuation range, it's not so exciting for us. What do you think? And I would say, well, I have offers in this valuation, so I appreciate the time, but obviously the market has told me that I could do it at this range, so I will obviously have to take the better offer. But I do appreciate your time. And now I'm the guy who feels like a schmuck because I've got to say to them, like, you know, I'm sorry, I'm asking for an outlandish valuation or whatever it is. Instead, they've got to make an enemy out of me for life. Should I say the name of the company? Tyler?
I don't think it's. Is it more the company's fault or his
Oh,
fault?
it's the entire group's, because how stupid is the entire VC firm to, and at that point I was a crazy blogger. You know, like, they know I'm going to tell the story. Wouldn't you say, like, well, why would we? But you know what the thing is, some of these VCs think because they write a check that they can act, like you said, they can treat entrepreneurs like feces. That's how some of their minds work. I'm writing the check, therefore you are subservient to us. You are not, as an entrepreneur, you are not subservient to any venture capital firm. I'm looking directly into this camera for a reason. Do not ever walk in there and think for any minute that you are not the most important person in the world and that they are just writing a check to you, okay? VCs give you money, that's it. Very rarely do they add any value. There are some that do. Majority, I can tell you, do not add much value. Your company is going to go in its trajectory based upon your hard work and your team's hard work. A VC might steer you in one direction or the other and maybe help 5% at max. The greatest VC in the world might help 5 or 10%. You have to run your company. How do these guys overestimate their value so much? Unbelievable.
And it's not just you, right? When they do that, it gets out to all entrepreneurs, and you know, anytime that firm comes up, you're going to tell all your friends. It's bad business, and
absolutely.
Even if that's who you are, it's still bad business.
I just can't believe how and I love the fact that the funding came out, and everybody thought that was I did the site. So then what I did was my friend Adeo did the site, the funded, but when he was going to come out as it, I started spreading a rumor that I was the guy from the funded. And everybody thought I was the funded guy for like a month. So roll off from Sequoia was like, are you the guy from the funded? Because this seems like a project you would create. And I'm like, roll off. We're investors. We're involved in this project together. I really can't comment on this. And so I just started spreading the rumor everywhere to help him out. Anyway, I will tell you which the firm was, and I will tell you who the partner is in my upcoming book, The Startup whatever. I got to come up with the name of the book. I'm not going to say. I think I've been already. I really hold a grudge sometimes. I mean, you seem like a very zen guy. Would you hold a grudge like this? Is this a normal behavior? Should I let it go? Maybe I need some Buddhism or something.
It's not irrational, but I mean, what are you going to do?
I haven't thought about it since the last D conference, and now I'm all thinking about it. Name the book contest. I am really excited that the Techstars program is putting out these incredible companies. It's really incredible what they've done. I mean, they have Y Combinator. Yeah, they get a couple points in your company. They own 5% of your company, or what do they own? 4%?
Yeah, I think it's like 6% now or something.
And it's common shares.
Common shares.
So they own the same shares as you.
Which is good to have those guys on your side.
Yeah, so they fight for the common. And 6% is not really that much because they're going to get diluted 20% in each round of financing. So it's not going to wind up being that much. It'll be 3%, 4% by the time you guys have an exit.
It's not the equity. I mean, the cash, it doesn't matter. It's just getting access to that group.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's awesome. I have to let it go. People are right. People in the chat room are saying I have to let it go. I'm going to let it go. Let's bring in Lon to talk about the news. Racing in here.
I was standing by the door, and then I got distracted for 2 seconds, and that was.
And that's when I call you. Exactly. That's when I do. Oh, Taurus and Fondue are here.
Of course.
Taurus and Fondue, it's Lon.
Oh, no.
People can see the dogs in the two-shot, I think, under the table. There they are. There's Fondue under the table.
Yes, there they are.
Where's Fondue? Where's my
We're old friends.
My girl. My girl. Oh, Taurus. That's so cool. We can see him on the table. I think it's been a big week.
Crazy week. Lots of news.
Lots of news this week. Lots of stuff going on at Mahalo. And you know who else has got a lot going on? It's Power VPS. Power VPS, it provides fully managed virtual private server hosting with great customer service and an amazing price, starting as low as $59 a month. www.powervps.com. I forgot to do that. http:// ://dot. Remember when people used to read the URLs like that on the radio?
Definitely the www dot. Yeah.
I just always loved the : // and there was always like that period of time when people were like : // and like wait, I did that backslash and //
yeah,
like as if you could no, the backslash never do the backslash in a URL. But PowerVPS is providing 25% off for the life of your plan. If you are a Twist viewer, just use the discount code TWIST. Oh, PowerVPS, thank you so much, PowerVPS. Also sponsoring This Week in Cloud Computing, which is on Wednesdays. Go to thisweekincloudcomputing.com if you are into cloud computing like we are. Thank you, PowerVPS. Okay, it's a big week for news. 500 people are watching the show.
My goodness.
Crazy. And how did this week in Twitter go with AV Fox?
With AV Flox, yes. And Melissa Rowley.
It's not AV Fox, it's AV Flox.
Flox. F-L-O-X.
And AV Fox was Flox. I turned it on and she is in a teddy.
She was in, yes, lingerie on the show. She's actually been hanging out in the Mahalo headquarters.
Please tell me she's not in lingerie in the headquarters.
In lingerie.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have to.
Thank God I have everybody sign waivers when they work here.
Right. Yeah. We're gonna have to. Yeah.
Tell us what's in the news, Lon.
Top story this week: Facebook patent. On Tuesday, Facebook was awarded a patent for, quote, a method for displaying a news feed in a social network environment, a concept that may or may not include all social network activity updates sorted and displayed algorithmically. It's a very broad definition. The patent names Mark Zuckerberg as the inventor, along with other Facebook engineers and product developers. It was originally filed in August 2006, right around when they actually introduced the newsfeed. Statement from Facebook said they were, quote, humbled and pleased with the patent.
Yeah.
So how significant do you think this is going to be in the development of social networks from this point on? And the bigger question, does Facebook deserve this patent?
Okay, number one, there's a whole big discussion about software patents in general.
Right.
They shouldn't exist. I mean, it's just...
Well, everybody builds on what other people are doing.
Now, that's where the really interesting point comes in. For Mark Zuckerberg to claim a patent on anything, being the little unethical thief that he is extraordinary. The guy stole, according to the people suing him, I'm going to have to put a little disclaimer there, but he stole the concept of Facebook for the people he was working for.
Connect You.
Yes. Those guys sued him. He settled with them.
Right.
Then he kicked out his partner, changed the name of the company according to his partner.
It's a very complicated
and stole from
situation.
him, and then wound up selling from him.
Right.
Then he has had 3 privacy boondoggles where he cares nothing about his users, you know, from trying to deceive them with the terms of service change to the Beacon program where they settled for $10 million. Though, I mean, there's 5 or 6 lawsuits like this that all revolve around a lack of respect for the users and privacy and stealing, literal stealing. This is all factual. Go to his Wikipedia page, and you'll see. Now, when you're big, you get sued, so there is that. But there is a history of stealing, and there is an obvious history of stealing features. He is a rip-off artist beyond compare, stealing every Twitter innovation that they've come out with, from making the stream public, to the status updates, or just stealing constantly from them. Stealing the Foursquare and Gowalla, check-in concept.
Yeah.
All Facebook does is copy other people's ideas. They had one original idea, which was like the app platform. But the newsfeed existed before in Twitter. And
well, I don't know if Twitter, in that sense, like this is more your activity in the Facebook network gets sort of displayed, and then it's the algorithmic sorting. It's how do they decide what news is going to interest you from your friends' profiles and what isn't, and how they choose to rank them. I think that's really what the, obviously it will impact Twitter, which is doing very similar kinds of things.
Right, but okay, so if I put in my activity versus it recording my activity, it's really the same thing.
It's very similar. And
Google Alerts work the same way. If you sign up for email alerts and they come up into your inbox, my.yahoo worked the same way, pulling in all your different activities on your My Yahoo page, and NetVibes, and millions of things have worked this way. I think Mark Zuckerberg is everything that is wrong with the technology industry today. He did not grow up with the first generation of technologists on the internet who really looked at this medium as something that was going to change the way people operate in business, change the rules, create more freedom. He has locked down his platform. You can't even export your own goddamn address book. How he gets away with it. Your data is not your own on Facebook. You can't export your own social graph. He will not support any open standards. And you know what? I'm sick of it. I think he's a little impish ripoff artist who would cut the throats of anybody he's in business with, and obviously he has because they're suing him like crazy. And this is just the icing on the cake. At some point, our industry will realize that Zuckerberg is one of the worst actors in the industry, and we should not be supporting him, and people should get out of it. But you know what? I think Facebook's going to implode on their own because of this. The fact that they are such a closed ecosystem and control it so tightly, it leaves a massive opportunity for an open standards-based thing. I think Twitter winds up beating them in the long term. This is obviously going to get overturned in the short term. Andy, you obviously agree.
Of course.
No. What do you think about all this?
So I've been out here all week, kind of out of the loop. But it's the patent itself is on the algorithm for how, like, if someone likes it, just.
It doesn't actually mention the algorithm specifically. As specific as the language gets is really like a method for displaying a news feed in a social network environment. That's really about as specific as it gets in terms of what is actually covered under the patent, which is why it's so wildly open to different interpretations.
It's I can't wait for the prior art to come out. And somebody points out here that hey, Bill Gates copied everything. It might be ethical, but it's good for business. And that is the truth. You are actually correct. Whoever said that in the chat room, I should pull their name up and give them credit. Una Unguna. U-N-U-G-U-N-U. You are correct in the chat room. Yeah, Bill Gates did do the same thing. He cut the throats of Lotus123 and WordPerfect, who were his partners. I actually predict that Zynga will have their throat cut by Zuckerberg and Facebook. They will launch their own games competitive with them.
It definitely is going to go
and kick them
direction,
out. And he did that already when he pushed all the applications to the different tabs and pushed them off your main feed.
Right. Well, it used to be so prominent that the third-party apps were everything on the front page, and then he just sort of made this decision, like, you know what? I'm going to hide those in a separate tab.
And Zuckerberg didn't create the API. People are sort of giving him credit for like creating APIs. Flickr was probably the early innovator in APIs. I think. What was the first API? What was the first site that had a really robust API? Was it maybe Google Search or
definitely
Flickr?
Yeah, pulling in Google searches, pulling in Flickr.
Flickr was really robust for the time for user-generated content.
Even was doing stuff like that a while.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, I am sick of Zuckerberg. I think he's totally overrated. I think he steals like ridiculously. I don't know why anybody's logging into. I mean, I'm not logging into Facebook, except to maybe promote a link or something like that. Maybe I share a photo with some friends. But if you take out the day that Twitter launches, attachments and embeddable objects and photos.
If Twitter had like a built-in twit pic.
Oh, they're going to. I have the inside information. Twitter will have enclosures by the end of this year. You heard it here first. You guys know who I know inside of different companies. I know that this is going to happen imminently. Like within 6 months, I predict Twitter will have photos, videos, any item you want to attach, you'll be able to attach. Just like Pounce did. And it's an infrastructure issue. And so when that happens, it's going to be, and I'm not jealous of him. I'm happy for anybody's success. I'm more successful than I ever thought I would be in my life. So it's not jealousy that somebody's saying in here. It's just the guy's behavior is so reprehensible. For him to say that he will claim the patent on this intellectual property when he steals everybody else's constantly. It's just it's the gall on him is incredible. Kyle, you have an insight?
Well, Microsoft also was very. Not only did they have lots of lawsuits, but they did lots of patenting.
Right.
Because they're actually continuing the analogy.
Yeah.
There,
Well, I mean, and continuing the Asperger's, claim. Like people say,
let's hope he continues with the charitable philanthropy at the end post
IPO.
Yeah,
fine. Yeah. I mean,
the Mark Zuckerberg Foundation. That's
yes. If it cures cancer, it might be.
It's gonna be good.
It might be worth it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of Zuckerberg.
In fairness, if you read that book, Accidental Billionaires, which was homework, I believe, on one of the early episodes of Twist.
I listened to half of it.
I listened to it. You do get a little more perspective on some of those lawsuits. Like, Obviously, Eduardo Saverin, who was his sort of partner in the early days and did the business, that guy got a raw deal. There's no, I mean, you read the book or you listen to the book, and there's no real
He basically reincorporated and moved the assets to a new entity.
Right, and they diluted the guy's stock. The guy still thinks he's got, all this stock, and then he finds out Zuckerberg was making all these side deals with new investors. They were giving away millions and millions of shares. This guy's stock was worth almost nothing by the time he got to cash out. He got a raw deal. The Connect You thing, I think, is a little bit more ambiguous, maybe, than we're making it sound.
Well, he never delivered the product, though, right?
He agreed to help these guys out build this product, and then while he was doing it, he kind of got his own idea that was similar but not identical. Like, different idea. And so then they felt like, oh, well, he was wasting our time in building his own product. Instead, there's definitely something shady about it. He's obviously not the most forthright guy in his
dealings. Feels like he's not, and he doesn't seem to care. He doesn't have that ethics switch. Like, he's just like, well, I have to make Facebook the largest and biggest social network with 8 billion people, and I have to map the social graph. It feels like an Asperger's type, like, I am just going to roll over everybody or anything in my path. And you know what? I mean, maybe you need that to be successful in business.
Well, that is one thing you definitely do get out of that story, I think, is that all these other guys on some level, at least the way the author makes it sound, I don't know the whole behind the scenes, but it seems there was something fundamentally kind of unserious about a lot of the other people he was involved in. That they were sort of like, well, I've got this other gig, and I'm doing internships, and I'm still at Harvard. And Zuckerberg had this idea and was like, oh, no. Everything else, I'm going to move to Silicon Valley, drop my entire life, and sit in a room for a year and just build this thing, because it's got to get built. And so there is something admirable, I think, on one level about that. All these other guys sort of wouldn't commit. They're still like, well, we're on the rowing team, and we're doing this, and I'm in this fraternity.
Yeah, I just hate these patents, and also the business patents. Like, did they ever turn over Amazon's one-click patent? I always found that one just to be ridiculous too. Like,
was that a
one-click buy? I'm like, I don't know. When I go buy a can of Pepsi, isn't that one click out of the machine? Like, I put the dollar and I press one click and I'm done. Like, you created one click, really, Jeff Bezos? I mean, I'm a big fan, but
it's just always so hard because they're so ambiguous. It's hard to say what exactly.
Even more than the ambiguity is the sort of antiquatedness of it, because technology happens so quickly now that it's not really relevant.
Yeah.
And I think the best evidence of this is that fashion, food are innovating at incredibly fast paces. Fashion maybe more than anything. There's no patents or anything in trademark of any of these designs. And there's new stuff coming out constantly. So it's really based on how you can execute it.
Right. Until you get hit with a patent lawsuit and they put out of business small companies that can't defend themselves, which they could start doing. If somebody becomes a viable competitor, and they could maybe squash them with a big, huge lawsuit. Of course.
But the main key argument they usually use is, well, why would you innovate? If you didn't have patents, and why would you write songs if you couldn't trademark them? It's like people were writing songs for 100,000 years before trademarks on songs.
Right. Yeah, I think you can patent a process, but you can't patent the idea of a process. This just feels like almost patenting just the idea of having a process. Like, oh, we should have a news feed. Patent that. And it's like, no, you can maybe patent the exact technology that went into building your news feed.
Isn't like the Newswire of like AP Newswire a news feed of the world?
That's the idea of having a news feed.
Right, so it's like, okay, well, this is the news feed of the world versus the news feed of your world. What's the difference? I mean, if I customized my news on my Yahoo, isn't that the same thing?
Essentially, yeah. That's the idea of having a news feed. Like, you could patent the specific, like, we use this exact algorithm to determine your news feed. Like, I can see patenting that, but not the idea of a news feed. I mean, they didn't invent news.
All right, next story.
Let's talk about Palm. Palm confirmed this week that sales are in a slump, and their products, including the Palm Pre and the Palm Pixie, don't really seem to be connecting with consumers as they hoped. After releasing disappointing numbers for the third quarter of 2009, Palm CEO John Rubinstein sent out an all-employee email in which he expresses dissatisfaction with Verizon Wireless, promises to employ brand ambassadors. They're going to tour the U.S., and they'll train Verizon sales reps on behalf of Palm and Palm products. He also talks about a new advertising campaign. Subway ads and billboards is going to really sell the new Palm items. Do you think this is enough to turn Palm around? And what would you say to your employees if this was you and you had to send out this letter?
I would say we're giving all the money back to our shareholders, and we're out of the smartphone business.
Right.
There is absolutely no way Palm can win. They were the leader in smartphones, and that's great, but they should have sold the company to Microsoft or Google or Apple when they had the chance.
Right.
When you have your competitors as Google, who doesn't care about making money in the space, Apple, who has the most beautiful design products in the history of the universe, and Microsoft, who is willing to spend billions of dollars to build market share and will not give up, and usually gets things right, third, fourth time up at bat. I don't see any room for them in this space. Zero. They're going to zero. They may have $500 million in the bank or whatever they said, but it's over. There's no way for them to compete. There's too many app platforms now. People are going to develop for the iPhone first, Android second, and the web third. And there's no. Would you have a Palm? I mean, what do you think, Andy?
That's what we're going to do. I mean, maybe we might get a Palm Pre request for a DailyBurn app every once in a while, but when it first came up, we got a few, but it's all iPhone, Android that we see.
And that's and you have a limited amount of resources.
Right.
The fact that you have to do 3 versions of the same goddamn product, one for the web, one for Android, and one for iPhone, is already a waste of resources. The fact that you can't just make one and write to 3 different platforms is nuts. It's over.
Just seems even the letter. I read his letter, which was posted all around, and it was a little like brand ambassadors and billboards. It felt very like 1980s, like if your company was struggling in like '85, and you wanted to your Apple IICs weren't selling, you could put a big TV commercial.
We have
campaign.
There's a very sophisticated audience of technology consumers today that actually buy things based upon the functionality.
Yeah.
And what's available for it. I mean, people will buy these phones based upon the network. Is it 3G? Is it 4G? Does it support Wi-Fi? Does it support Skype? Does it have the application I want? My wife is making a decision on should she go from her BlackBerry to an iPhone platform or skip to Android based upon very specific applications can she get or not get.
Yeah.
And going to the websites of these application builders and trying to find out when the Android version is coming out and if she go to Android or not and how those versions differ. My wife is not in the technology industry, and there's a lot of people making decisions like that.
Well, there's just so much information now. If this was 20 years ago, you'd have to buy a copy of Consumer Reports and hope that they're talking about what you want. And now, you can just go around the web. There's a million blogs. There's a million websites that just want to give you price comparisons and shopping comparisons and all this info. The age of being able to put up Subway ads and saying buy our new thing, it just seems like it's winding down.
Yeah, it's over for them. I hate to say it, but I mean, it might be smart for them to move into the Android platform.
Right.
And then focus just on the design of the phones
hardware
and the
itself,
hardware, and maybe they've got some skill there. And just make, or, Windows Mobile platform. Maybe they could just make maybe they focus on hardware that would work on Android and the Windows platform and just work on the design of hardware. I don't know, maybe that's a commodity business. I would not want to be in competition with Apple. That is bad.
Not for phones, no. No.
Palm is done.
Moving on?
They'll be on Deadpool. I don't know when.
But
what happens to a company like that? They have
such a huge company.
Yeah. Ugh. I mean, maybe they can go for something like maybe they could go
government stimulus package.
That's it.
Are they too big to fail? Is Palm too big to fail?
Yeah, where's Palm's buyout from the airlines?
Yeah, I know.
No, I was going to say that maybe they could.
A lot of people would genuinely lose their jobs if Palm went under. I mean, that's
go work for Microsoft or Google or Apple. I mean, it's just the nature of the. I think the possibility there is maybe the third world. I think Nokia and Ericsson are making lower cost phones that cost $20, $30 for. So maybe the Palm could make the smartphone for the rest of the world that's super cheap. But I think that's what Android's going to wind up doing because it's so cheap.
Right.
So I don't see a place for them. Yeah, it's over. I don't think there's any way for them to outmaneuver the wide open ecosystem of Android or the sexy, marketing juggernaut,
did they just
ease
wait
of use.
Too long to have their sort of next generation?
It's I think it was execution, and also they didn't develop their platform of apps. So
yeah.
developers.
Someone famously said.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have to talk about SeaWorld this week. Obviously, it was a big issue on your Twitter feed. You were writing about it a lot. A lot of people were talking about it. In the aftermath of course, the tragic incident in SeaWorld this week, where a whale named Tiki-Cum, something like that, killed trainer Dawn Brancheau. SeaWorld temporarily suspended their Facebook account and the Twitter account they had running @Shamu. And of course, the Twitter account was written from the whale's perspective. It was
Yeah.
humorous. It was written as if Shamu was tweeting.
Yeah.
The company said that it probably will never again speak in Shamu's voice, as that could now be considered offensive rather than amusing. The Facebook page was also temporarily taken down. They were getting a lot of offensive and inappropriate posts. They've since put it back up, and actually now it's hosting a debate about the ethics of what happened and SeaWorld's sort of policy of training dangerous animals and having them in its parks and shows. So is this an example of a company using social media well? Like they're engaging their community, they're using this as a sort of way to communicate with people about what happened? Or is this like the risk a big company runs when they go into social media, that these things can sort of snowball immediately and take on a life of their own?
Probably at its core, social media is about authenticity. And if you cannot authentically participate with a straight face, kind of,
Right.
then you probably shouldn't use it. So, if you are a dictator, you're Kim Jong-il or you're Saddam Hussein.
At Idi Amin.
Yeah, like you can't really participate because you're not going to have a reasonable discussion. And I think that these guys are on the wrong side. 50 years from now, we'll look back on that and say, I can't believe that we kept orcas in captivity. It's the most cruel thing you could ever do to that creature.
And actually, I was watching on TV. They keep them in these very shallow tanks.
Yeah.
They call them dry tanks. Actually,
Yeah,
that's how
unbelievable.
shallow they are, which
Yeah.
is really just seems it's going to hurt their maneuverability.
It's so beyond cruel as a human species that we would do this to another species. And of course, your heart goes out to the family of the person killed. It's nothing. You can't really gloat about it, like, oh, but you have to hold the trainers and SeaWorld responsible for what they're doing, I think. And I think as part of the problem with our society is that people don't get held accountable for what they do. These trainers are part of a system that they should not be supporting. If you are a trainer there, you are a prison guard, in my mind. And if a prison guard who, maybe I'm just too radical in some ways I look at things, but the first thing I thought of was, what does a trainer of a killer whale think when they get killed? What do the other trainers think? Like, this is bound to happen. And it turns out there's a Frontline documentary that I've been reading all these stories about. Trainers have been getting beaten by killer whales for a long time and murdered, killed, whatever. This one has killed before. Mm-hmm. This one has been in captivity for over 20 years. And it's wildly cruel. And if you are doing something wildly cruel, you can't really use social media, because at some point when something like this happens, the cruelty of what you're doing and the unethicalness of what you're doing comes out, and you can't defend it. That's why they turn it off. If they could defend it, they would be turning it on. Tyler?
There's not really, I guess their only defense is that they feel like they're educating people, because when they do their shows.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, it's about appreciation of these species and teaching people about them.
The beauty of this animal, and et cetera, et cetera. But I think you get the same appreciation from, going to those IMAX screens and seeing,
Yeah.
I don't think there's really any argument there.
It's also not. It's not as if it's like a wild animal park and they're being kept in sort of a more, environment that more closely resembles their natural habitat, and humans can sort of stand back and look at them. It's the performance of it, like the circus, that makes it so creepy. I think.
And they're not endangered animals that they're,
saving.
Bringing back to life,
right,
like a condor or anything. Then,
So this is what social media has done. Never before has there been an open, transparent environment to debate this issue. Mm-hmm. And basically, the people at SeaWorld got a pass because nothing came up in the time since social media has become popular.
Right.
Now social media is popular. Now, things have come to a head. And now it's like, okay, we actually can't defend what we're doing. And it takes a circumstance like this to happen for everybody to realize. And that's the great thing about social media. I mean, people who are trying to defend it now, and I've been having a big fight, debate on Twitter about this and in my social stream. And granted, I'm pretty radical in my thinking about it. I don't think she deserved to die, but I think that they should expect to die if you were getting in the tank with killer whales. You have a reasonable expectation of death.
I think that they probably do on some level. People who work with these kind of wild animals are aware going in, like, look, this could potentially be fatal. Much like Siegfried and Roy said after that accident.
Yeah.
Like, they knew this was always a chance that this would happen. But at the same time, I think it's... I was saying the other day, when you're watching like Siegfried and Roy or somebody perform with a lion or a tiger, it's always there, that element of this is dangerous, this person could die. Whereas you don't... SeaWorld's branding and the way they market it's cute and adorable, and you don't think of Shamu as being a deadly, dangerous animal. It's sort of... You don't have that connotation with killer whales.
What do you think? Social media?
Well, you got to think that it's a killer whale if they call it a killer whale, though, right?
I know, but and yet at the
it's
same
a little
time,
bit of a tell.
And yet at the same time, you know, maybe it's just I grew up with like Free Willy and Shamu, and it's just they don't have that like tiger where it's like, oh my God, this could murder someone in a minute, even though obviously it's got killer, right?
Yeah,
so it's dangerous.
It's and then, you know, then they look like they're smiling, they look happy, they train them to flap their things. You know, and the same thing with dolphins. And these dolphins and these orcas are being tortured. And I you know me, I'm the most cynical guy in the world. I'm a tough guy, whatever. I look at this, it breaks my heart. It literally breaks my heart. I believe that they are torturing these animals. These are very sentient, intelligent beings. And the two other, there's plenty of information about these whales online that you can go research, and I encourage people to. And I encourage you to use social media to say how you feel about it. When they captured these, there was a story of they captured 3 of them, and it was one of the ones that they let go with that whole Free Willy thing, and they put them into. One of them killed itself, banging its head against. This is in Argentina, banging its head against the wall, because it went crazy being in one of these tanks. It wanted out so bad, it beat itself to death, and the other one died during transport. They're not. These are not abandoned whales. They are captured. Yeah. And they're captured brutally.
And they're just not physically designed to be transported around.
No.
And I mean, they're these huge creatures. They're from the ocean.
Majestic, and they travel over thousands of miles, and you put them into a pen that's a quarter of a mile, not even. That's 5 blocks wide, a quarter mile wide. Yeah. And you have to see the movie The Cove. And, you know, if you were imprisoned, if I was imprisoned this way,
I'd get instituted.
There's a moneymaker.
Let me tell you something. You put me in a cage like that and make me jump around for my lunch, I'm taking out every trainer I can get my hands on. I will shank every one of them. So the fact that this one has killed 2, I'm surprised it's not 20.
Oh, I'm fairly certain they drug them to keep them sedate.
Docile?
Yeah.
I would not put it past them. I wish somebody would do an undercover investigation of the SeaWorld stuff. And I would love to have, if there's somebody from SeaWorld, can somebody cut this? Message to SeaWorld. I invite your PR, marketing, social media person to come on This Week in Startups. I would like to have a debate about this with you. And I would love to have a trainer here and hear from a trainer how they could justify what you guys do to these creatures. I will have a civil discussion with you, even though obviously we have a different point of view, but I don't know how you do this and sleep at night, honestly. It's just crazy. It's actually very depressing. It says something about our society, and I was talking to my wife about it, and we had, earlier in our relationship, gone to SeaWorld, and just because we're in San Diego, and that's what you do.
Yeah, it's a popular, I've been there.
She is riddled with guilt about going to SeaWorld, and because we saw the orca show, and we had lunch with Shamu thing. And I told her, you cannot feel guilty about it if you've gone already. You know, and as a parent, you probably have, I don't know, have you gone or?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Right, you went as a kid. We made it socially normal, and we were abused in this marketing program, like you were mentioning, to think that this is normal.
Yeah, I mean, they're very effective at how they've marketed the Shamu show and the experience, and
it's so delightful.
Yeah,
they make it so much fun, and all this stuff. So we have all been manipulated. It does not matter if you've ever gone in the past. What matters is that anybody who hears my voice right now, who's listening to this, do not ever go again. And whenever anybody talks about it, talk about how you cannot support this anymore, and that our society needs to move on, and that if you really want to see whales, you can, in San Diego, correct, Tyler? You grew up there. You can go whale watching.
Yeah, I just went on Valentine's Day.
And how
Not killer
was
whales,
it?
but gray whales, right? Humpback
Gray
whales?
whales, yeah. Big, much bigger, much more majestic than a orca.
Right.
And you go out on the boats, and then the boat drivers, if you go with a good one, even they are hypersensitive to, look, we know you want to get close, but the last thing we would ever want to do is disrupt this migration, so we're going to stand back.
Yeah.
And then you'll see a little dinghy that's not paying attention, who doesn't know there's a whale coming, and the big boat's like, get out of the way, you jerk off, there's a freaking gray whale coming through its migration path.
Yeah.
No, but it's...
So that whole conservatory line that they say is such BS.
And it's cheaper than going to SeaWorld, mind you. To
Right.
go
out to the whale watching.
That's the BS.
Well,
you
it's
can
not a
see
theme
them
park,
You can see them in their natural environment for less money, more majestic, and a better experience overall. And this is the power of social media. That whole BS dialogue that they say on television that nobody ever calls them on when they're on the news, that, oh, well, we increase awareness. The same town in San Diego where you go, you can, for cheaper, go see them on a real boat.
Yeah, you know what's funny about it? On the Valentine's Day trip I was on, if you get on a real big boat, you'll find a dolphin pod that's eating whatever. Dolphins love to get in front of your boat and be pushed by the boat.
They'll come hang out.
If you go to my YouTube channel on Steep Decline, you'll see I took video of a school of dolphins surfing off the front of our boat, naturally as fun, like in their own environment, which it's
and that doesn't really even compare. To go and experience it in nature, in their natural habitat, is such a different and more enjoyable experience than I went whale watching in Maui when I was there, and it's an amazing experience, and because it's authentic. You're watching how these animals really behave and what their lives are really like, and you're experiencing that as opposed to them balancing a ball on their nose or whatever.
Well, a wonderful insight from Tyler.
Insight from Tyler.
And here is Tyler's YouTube channel, and those are indeed dolphins. Well done, Tyler.
Yeah,
look at those dolphins, huh? Now that's what you want to see.
How much closer do you want to get exactly?
Yeah, exactly. And really, they're in the wild doing their thing. I mean,
SeaWorld doesn't even allow you to videotape. I bet you can't tape the shows.
Oh no, there's tons of videos online of they let you tape, and that's how they get these things on tape. I mean, I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning last night, and I'm watching every killer whale beat up on somebody. There's an incredible video of. These people are, I mean, keep going with the news story, but we should probably move on. But I could talk about this for an hour, literally. We have to find another forum for these rants. But there is video of them putting a secretary from SeaWorld on the back of a killer whale for a promotion. She gets her ass handed to her.
Yikes. Well, they're saying all that set it off this time, the theory right now, is the trainer's ponytail. That the ponytail hit the whale's face, and it got confused and didn't know, and that was what started the sort of trouble that ended, obviously, tragically.
Yeah, okay.
All right. We'll talk about Yelp, obviously. 2 law firms have filed a class action lawsuit right here in Los Angeles, alleging that Yelp has engaged in unfair business practices. The plaintiff is Cats and Dogs Animal Hospital of Long Beach. They say they were the victim of a Yelp shakedown, that the company demanded monthly ad buys of $300 in exchange for removing a bad review from the company's profile. Last year, the East Bay Express ran a story making similar allegations that Yelp employees would call local businesses almost every day and tell them how much traffic their Yelp reviews were getting and offering to disappear bad reviews in exchange for ad buys. Some business owners have even implied that Yelp employees write bad reviews themselves in order to bait them, sort of like almost a hush money racket. A Yelp representative responded, quote, "The allegations are demonstrably false since many businesses that advertise on Yelp have both negative and positive reviews. Running a good business is hard. Filing a lawsuit is easy." Do you think there's any merit to these charges? And if it turns out that it is true, just hypothetically, what kind of punishment should Yelp receive for these kinds of practices?
It's not true. Okay. I don't believe it's true. I think that there's probably confusion as to their offering. Like, when you're a sponsor, what can you do?
Right.
And I think that that is part of the problem for them, probably. And I think that perhaps the worst case scenario is a rogue salesperson would have said, like, and salespeople can become aggressive at times and maybe say, like, yeah, I know somebody who can delete something if, you sponsor or whatever. But their point is well taken. If you're a sponsor, you can't take down bad reviews. So how can you say that you're being asked to do that if the reality is, looking at the site, that people who are sponsors have tons of bad reviews? And it doesn't help either party if you whitewash the reviews. Everybody knows that you could have a good experience or a bad experience at a restaurant.
Right.
So therefore, I look at Yelp reviews and I see just as many, I see polarized reviews all the time. I hated this place. I loved it.
Yeah, 5 stars next to 1 star. You see that
all
a lot,
the time.
actually.
And people understand that. Same thing with movies. It's like, no, and I don't think any person has a reasonable. Anyway, so I think it's either a mistake by one person, kind of a thing, like an isolated incidents. In which case, they should maybe do a make good for that person, an apology, and something like that. Maybe give them a free lifetime account. If it was a coordinated thing, there would be evidence of it, and somebody would have a phone recording of it, and they would have training materials from it, and so the discovery is going to happen at some point. So when the discovery happens and there's no training materials and there's no email trail, if this is true, where is the email trail and where is the phone call recorded of it? If I'm running a business and this happens to me, I'm recording the phone call, or I am going to take the email thread and publish it. So where's the smoking gun? I mean, do you know how big their sales staff is? It's like hundreds of people.
Huge, yeah.
You can't have hundreds of people doing this and not have any evidence. That's why it's, to me, seems spurious.
Yeah.
Spurious?
Spurious, that would be a good word.
It's spurious. So I don't believe it. And you can sue anybody for anything, so you have to look at all these, and especially when it's a class action suit like this. Where's the evidence? Show me some evidence, and I will be more inclined to believe it. But you use Yelp.
Yeah, it's still very damaging to them, right? All these lawsuits, that's the problem, right? I mean, because you hear that, and I've actually heard other people say, oh, people, they do this behavior, right?
I think at this point it has urban legend status, at least, of the idea that, oh, if you advertise on Yelp, they pull your negative reviews or at least bury them. I've heard that well before this lawsuit was even filed. So it's got. I agree. It's got to be damaging to them at this point that there is just that perception that they're biased in that way against advertisers.
Yeah, I mean, can you sort the reviews however you want on the site? Isn't there like a drop down?
You can sort them by the stars and by when they were posted, but I don't know if beyond that.
So what we're talking about here is really the default sort order.
Right. It would be what do you see first? Because that was well, I mean, some of these people in the lawsuit are actually saying they would offer to just delete a bad review. That you would think. Wouldn't the user then say, where's
the user complaining?
That was when I read that. My first thought was, if I wrote a Yelp review that was negative, and then I went to that restaurant's page a week later and it was gone.
They have all negative reviews, maybe.
Maybe if they they'll just start getting rid of some of them or whatever. Like that seems like it would be hard to cover. They're like, oh well, we just deleted these 8 users' reviews because they were bad. I mean, that would come out right away, you would think.
Yeah, so here is the explanation, and I guess they've been trying to explain things a little bit better on their site, but here if you go to the site, when you hover over Yelp sort, if we can pull up my thing there, it's a little hard to read, I'll try to make it a little bigger. It says, Yelp sort attempts to show reviews that help consumers make informed decisions, period. The order is determined by recency, user voting, and other review quality factors. This method is applied to all business sponsors or not.
Could that be considered a news feed? Do they owe Mark Zuckerberg
Yeah, exactly.
money now?
Oh my God, they used an algorithm to sort something. And then, of course, you can just do straight date, ratings, and elites. And elites are people who've written a lot of reviews.
That's good. I want somebody who writes a ton of Yelp reviews. Yeah.
So the default sort is the issue. I don't know. The default sort I find is like, here's good, here's bad. So like I always find when I look at the places that there's like,
I always assumed they were just picking it based on thoroughness and writing quality if they were editorializing at all. Because usually it seems like the most comprehensive reviews get earlier and the later ones are like, this place sucks.
Yeah. Sushi Sasabune, man. Maybe we should get some sushi after this.
Speaking of which, they might start a suspension of tuna fishing based on a ruling they're going to do in Morocco in June. They're meeting and the European Union yesterday said they're basically going to back this ban.
Tuna.
So there may be no more tuna fishing.
No.
But that's to preserve the species because it's basically...
But they're so delicious.
I know. It's a crime.
Albacore, one of my favorites.
Jack, the CEO of WebSpy, watching the show in Australia. Nice to see Jack in the chat room. How you doing, Jack? What show was he on? What was the number show? Put his URL in there. Jack, big supporter of the show. Hopefully we'll see him at South by Southwest. I think I stopped eating swordfish for a long time because of well, that's the big issue. So I went to the doctor this week and got some results, and it turns out I actually have a little bit high mercury, so I'm going to have to chelate or something. Chelate? Do chelation?
Chelate, yeah.
And the guy's like, you can't have swordfish or tuna anymore. He's like, do you eat toro a lot? I'm like, my last dog was named Toro. I would eat 12 pieces of toro at, Nobu twice a week when I lived in New York when I was the editor of Silicon Valley Reporter. So yeah, so now I've got to. You can't eat. The way it works is you can't eat the big fish.
Right.
Because the big fish eat the large fish, which eat the medium-sized fish, which eats the small fish, which eat the tiny fish. And as you go up that food chain, the mercury toxicity increases. You know who's got the most mercury? Dolphins. You know why?
Because they eat all the small
They
fish.
eat the most fish.
Yeah.
They eat the larger fish, too.
So stop eating dolphin, everybody out there.
Well, it is actually, there are people who are eating a lot of dolphin meat, and that's what the movie The Cove is about.
Right.
And they were actually feeding dolphin in Japan to kids. Mercury is the worst thing you could do.
The worst.
The worst
Probably,
thing you can,
other than
the worst
acid
thing you can
or-
do to a child, aside from decapitate them.
Or soda.
Or soda. So it's decapitation, soda, mercury, in terms of damage you can do to children. And they started feeding dolphin to kids in schools to try to get them to rally behind dolphin eating, to keep it as a tradition.
Wow.
Meanwhile, mercury to a developing brain creates retardation. Can I say retardation, or is that
No, it
the same
creates
as-
retardation.
You're not supposed to say retard now. I know that.
We're not supposed to call a person who suffers from retardation a retard.
What
But I
would
don't think that means
what
you
would it
can't
cause
use the term
if
retardation.
is there another? Is there a more
Well, it
friendly
causes
way?
retardation. That's
Is there a
exactly
more
what it
friendly
does.
way of saying retardation? Somebody in the
It
chat room tell me.
causes, mental deficiencies.
No, it's not a
or-
mental deficiency.
It retards brain growth.
It
That's what
yeah,
it
it
does.
Retards
screws up.
brand.
It screws
I
up.
think you can say it leads to retardation.
Can somebody ask Sarah Palin on Twitter what I can say in terms of the word retardation or not? Okay, final story.
Ooh, that's tough because there's a bunch of.
All
good
right,
ones
give us
left.
two final stories.
Okay, two final stories I can do. We got to talk about this sexy app ban. We got to talk about that with. This week, of course, will always be remembered as the time Steve Jobs declared war on iPhone porn. The company banned almost every single sexual or risque app from the App Store, including apps that feature some of the more unbelievable ones that I had to grab out. Images of people in bikinis, sexual connotations, suggestive silhouettes, and skin. Just no skin. You can't have skin in an iPhone app. So now, obviously, people don't look for porn in the App Store anyway because you can find it in so many other places. But considering that you can buy R-rated movies and songs with dirty lyrics in the iTunes Store, why are they suddenly coming down so hard on the app side of things?
You guys may not know this, but Steve Jobs has converted to Islam.
To Islam.
And the sheikh in Saudi Arabia told him no more skin.
I mean,
and also, in a related story, the females at Apple have to wear burqas.
I mean, no skin and no silhouettes.
He's just having fun now. He's like using this for PR. He's just
it's
having
so
a good
obvious.
time.
He's just
Yeah, it's really unbelievable.
This goes back to prove my point that Steve Jobs is so brilliant and powerful that there is nobody around him who can tell him when he's making a mistake. It's so obvious that they should not try to control the entire iPhone experience and ecosystem. And what they should simply do is when you go to the iTunes Store, it is PG-13. And then there is a setting that says show non-approved applications, and there should be a second thing that shows R-rated applications. So you show adult applications. You choose to do that. It does it. You have to okay it, or there's just a general one. So like if I go to Google and I click off Safe Search, and I type in a woman's name, you know what you're going to see.
Yeah.
And literally just type in the first name of any woman on any search engine and turn off Safe Search, and it's going to be some percentage is going to be skin. So, I mean, it's really insane.
This was very far. If it was just like
it's almost comical. Like when I say no USB port,
It
and
is,
it's like people can sort of debate, tablet doesn't have a USB port. Is that ridiculous or not? Or, switchable battery in your iPhone or not? It's like, well, people still using iPhones even though you can't switch the battery. Then it's like, what? You can't show somebody in a bikini? And then, of course, everybody's like, what about Sports Illustrated? I have a subscription to Sports Illustrated. And
yeah, no, if they had a Sports Illustrated bikini app, that I obviously would break a number of these rules.
There is one.
Yeah.
It got kicked out and then put back in and back and forth. And it's just, this shows you how absurd it is to try to control it. And then I guess Daring Fireball, which I don't really read, but it's some kid who is like the Big Mac blog now.
Yeah.
And I told him he should be on the show. He said it's that the rankings are so polluted with naked girls, which I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
But you're an iPhone app developer.
Yeah.
I mean, is this making it hard for you to, like, DailyBurn, or does it have a swimsuit model on the cover? And did you consider that and have a debate about it internally? You must have.
The fat burner has a big guy with a big belly with his shirt off, so it might be banned after the
Skin,
show.
no skin.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Have you considered
Some people probably think it looks pretty good.
putting two slim individuals in workout clothes as the icon to compete against the other people?
Not so much, but I do have to say it is.
But it has come up.
Yeah, and it's got to be refreshing to look through the top 25 apps and not see like free boobs and with 1-star ratings and.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the leading theory from the blogs I was reading is that it's more like just the image, and they don't like people logging into the App Store and all these like ridiculous, stupid apps are doing so well that are like kind of cheaply trying to use it. But at the same time, it hardly seems like this is the most rational way to deal with it.
So does that mean when they see people downloading stupid movies that they're going to be like, you know
Right.
what, Joanna Mama 3, we're not going to include it in the ratings. We're going to put the art house films and the
Yeah.
Sundance contenders.
No, like
and
when I went to Wisconsin for Christmas, I downloaded Year One from the iTunes Store and watched it on the plane, which was like the worst movie. I mean, it was just awful.
This does bring
But they're not
up an interesting
banning it.
point. Because when you have a very highly controlled environment, like internal Apple philosophy, and then a highly democratic environment like the web, you're going, and the best app list, right?
Yeah.
Is going to have the fart app and the shake your baby app and all these crazy crap like the web likes on a download numbers basis.
Right.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't like the reflection of their store, their pristine palace of what their devices are to be used for, and the most powerful, the most used items in this are all trivial,
They're embarrassed by their own users' behavior.
Yes, exactly right.
They've created
they're trying to
something,
prevent their own users' behavior.
They're trying to change reality.
Yes.
This very much comes down to, I am sure, Steve Jobs does not like to see what his users are using his devices
I was going to
for.
say just people. He likes building very beautiful
He
things.
has
and then
a view of the world.
It's too pristine. He can't
This
even
is
allow
going
people in
to-
it.
Yeah, this is going. Who was the guy who went crazy? The aviator.
Howard Hughes?
This is like Howard Hughes level behavior.
Right.
Maybe he's going crazy.
He's created something so glorious that it can't be sullied by
It's
being
like
used.
Howard. It's like Howard Hughes with the spoiled milk.
I was
or
going to
something.
say it's like Cartman when he bought his own amusement park just so he could keep everyone out of it.
Right.
It almost feels a little bit like that. Like, I've created something so amazing, it's too good for you people.
Last
and your
story.
stupidity.
Last story.
Let's talk about Yammer. Yammer CEO
Yes.
David Sachs, of course, previous guest on this show.
Early on.
His company made the news this week with the announcement that beginning March 1st, it will allow users to sign up without a corporate email address. Of course, that's the thing about Yammer.
Yep.
You have to be within a company in order to join their network.
Yes.
Yammer Communities is going to serve other kinds of groups, even families. The feature is designed to address the criticism that Yammer was too insular. It only allowed communication between individuals within a company, so it excluded people like clients, consultants, partners, colleagues.
Yes.
Communities will allow for a private internal network for just inside corporate information, and then satellite groups in which you can pull in everyone else. So we use Yammer at Mahalo. How significant improvement do you think this is going to be?
Okay, we used Yammer here. It doesn't get really used anymore. And I think the reason is we sit in a big open office.
Right.
It doesn't work very well for a 30-person company with no offices because you just say things in the air. Maybe if you had a disparate group of people across 5 cities, it would work. It's really working inside of Fortune 200 companies, which I had dinner with David Sachs at Koi, infamously on Tuesday night, and this is going to be brilliant. It's basically, it's less private groups on Yammer or more open groups on Yammer than it is groups for Twitter. Imagine we have a This Week in Startups group, a Twist group on there, and all the Twist super fans, and there's hundreds of them, and hundreds or low thousands of us are just tweeting to each other and talking, having a private conversation that occurs in a twist. It's a better version of Google Groups. So what he is now doing is creating Google Groups 3.0 or something. So I think it's going to be very powerful. I think it's going to explode his service, and I'm sure Mahalo and other places will use it. Imagine we put all the page managers on it, and they're all.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is that we have a lot of sort of external communities, and we don't necessarily want to bring them in on every internal discussion we're having, but there are definitely things we discuss internally we could bring them in on. And
what I told him he has to do is you have to have a checkbox that says send to Twitter, send to Facebook. Then I would start at Yammer. And I would start at Yammer, and my experience would be, okay, check out this really cool page on Mahalo. And I'd say, you know what, this is for This Week in Startups because it's related. This is for, the, what is it, Bloom Energy? What is that energy device that came out on 60 Minutes?
Oh, yeah, the Bloombox.
Bloombox. So let's say there's a Mahalo page on Bloombox. I want to share it. I start at Yammer, and I go, you know what? I want to share this with the Mahalo team. I want to share this with the Mahalo contributors, sort of external. I want to share it with This Week in Startups people because they care about technology. I'm going to share it also with my JSON account on Flickr, and I'm going to share it on my whatever. And he's like, well, we just want to do it for groups, whatever. I'm like, yeah, but why are you making it hard for me as a user? Just let me start with you, like Postgres does. And I start a lot of my video and sharing and photo sharing with Postgres. I just send an email because it's easiest. So I told him, let people start there, and it'll be naturally take away some of Twitter's
Yeah, that's
steam.
interesting. I didn't think about using Yammer as a Twitter client, but it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. I mean, the interface is so simple.
And they allow you to do threaded messaging and longer messages. So if you wrote 4 paragraphs and you send it to Twitter, it would send you back to Yammer for the longer post.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Get traffic back. You use Yammer?
We did a little bit first. Kind of moved to like a campfire, always on.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing I told him was, people start with it, it's good, but then you want some more project management features, and it doesn't have that yet. We use Pivotal Tracker here.
Yeah,
really
good. Much more robust.
Do you guys use that? Or?
Yeah, we do.
Pivotal Tracker is awesome. I wish I talked to the guys over there who created that at some design firm, and I was like, why don't we create a company out of this? Why don't you sell it? And
wait, that's like, they don't sell. They don't.
No, they created
company
it. It's
around
free.
Pivotal Tracker?
It's an
wow,
offshoot
that is
of a company.
amazingly advanced as a product for something.
It's a free product. Who knew? It's a free product provided by a web shop. And I told the guy, like, why don't you open source it so other people can develop? And he's like, no. I'm like, why don't you start a company and spit it out? No. I'm like, I'm going to put something up on Challenge Post to create an open source version. I wish somebody would create an open source version of that so you can start, because it's sort of like, here's the idea for what I want to do on my site. Here it is in progress, and now it's completed. I want to add the step after that and before that, which is, here are ideas, and debate ideas before they actually get turned into stories we want to execute on. So I want the idea farm over here. And at the end, I want the performance farm, which is, okay, so we had this idea that we should put virtual currency on answers. It got approved, became in the queue, then it got built, and now it's in practice, and here's the metrics on how it did, and here's its entire lifespan through our organization from idea to execution.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, right now what happens is Icebox gets full down, and then it takes a long time to reprioritize that. I agree.
Yeah.
Good idea.
And there should be, like, the Icebox really should be the idea farm. And the idea farm should have warm, cold, and hot. So that could be 3 different things. So you could say, you know what, I don't want to look at any execution right now. I'm in idea mode. So let me see our ideas, cold, warm, hot, and people vote on them in the company. And I could see either, the product manager's worldview or the overall vote. So here is what our company says we should do next. I would much rather do that. Let everybody in the company, even the developers and everything, vote. The next feature should be virtual currency sharing on answers, whatever. And wow, 28 of 35 team members think this is the next thing. That would be so much more interesting.
That's a great concept, and you're absolutely right. The biggest problem I have with Pivotal Tracker is things get lost because you get so backed up with the new ideas people are putting in. More diversity in how you can sort of file those things away would be really helpful.
Okay, so wrapping up, DailyBurn is great. Everybody should go try the applications. Try the free application. Go to the site. Get the WeScale. It costs like $150. Weigh your fat ass and then send it into your DailyBurn account. I created a DailyBurn account just to put my fat statistics in there. The WeScale is good.
The Wii was brutal. The Wii is mean to me.
Oh, I'm not talking about the Wii. I'm talking about the Wii things.
Yeah.
You don't have the We Thing scale.
I don't have the We Thing scale. It just reminded me of when I stepped on the Wii.
I'm going to get you that for your birthday.
Thank you.
Is that cruel?
No, I don't.
No,
think,
it's cool.
I don't. I genuinely don't think that's cruel.
No.
I think if you know,
I'm overweight.
If you know somebody is committed to,
you wouldn't take it the wrong way if I did.
I would not.
Because you've been working out. You've been doing the Taekwondo.
If you know somebody is committed to losing weight and you give them something that will help them, I don't see how you could possibly. If they're not committed to losing weight at all and they're fine with how they are, and then you start giving them weight loss stuff.
Fat as a life. This is a whole different show. But fat as a lifestyle choice is the most ridiculous concept ever created, and the fatties who are saying, talking about the people who are saying this is like a lifestyle choice. It's so irresponsible. I'm not talking about being 20 pounds overweight as a lifestyle choice. You don't want to work out, you're lazy, whatever, you're not into it. I'm talking about people who are morbidly obese, like 100 pounds, 200 pounds overweight, being like, I'm big and bold. I'm, large and in charge.
Fat and sassy.
Yeah. No, you're not large and in charge. You are type 2 diabetic risk. You're going to die at the age of 40 or 50. You're not large and in charge. You're going to be large and dead. And it's not.
I mean, I don't. There's not a very big community, I don't think, of fat people who are like fat pride and I'm happy to be.
No, but
fat.
there is that small contingent, is what I'm talking about.
There is. I think I think my answer to that is like that. It's easy to pick out fat people because it's so obvious. I mean, you walk down the street and if somebody's fat, you see like that's a fat person. Another person might be like have crippling depression
or alcoholism,
and it's just as dangerous. It's just as like even we saw Andrew Koenig this week killed himself in Vancouver. Was suffering from depression.
But I'm not saying that if he was going around saying like you should all be depressed. Depression's a lifestyle choice.
Like,
it's cool to be depressed. Don't take your pills to be depressed, and you shouldn't try to exercise or eat healthy.
No, that's perfectly valid.
It's that like denial that this is a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, I just think fat people get a little oversensitive because it's just they get the brunt of it because it's so you can tell somebody's fat immediately.
But now it's flipped. Yes, so it is obvious. But now it's flipped where people are like because so many people are overweight, and I'm overweight. I mean, I was 210 at one point. I'm 185 now, and I'm trying to get to 175. That's why I got the We Thing scale. That's why I'm on DailyBurn. You can't say that you're happy being overweight, and you can't advise people to do this.
But you can't. I mean, the counterpoint of that, you can't be happy with yourself and feel confident and be overweight. It's the overweightness itself is not a point of pride. I think
that's exactly my point. And they're saying it is.
Right. There are some very misguided people, I agree, who say, I'm fat and I'm proud.
Yes, fat pride is. See, I mean,
a little misguided.
Are you depressed and proud? Are you alcoholic and proud? Are
proud
you
to be a smoker?
Proud? I mean, no. If you could give up smoking, anybody's a smoker. If they could give it up, get through it. Heroin addict, I'm heroin and proud. If you could give it up in a heartbeat, you would.
There are probably people who are smacked out and proud.
Anyway, Andy's probably looking at this going, what did I sign up for in this show? Like, he thought it was going to be a tech show. We're talking about orcas and
no comment on that issue, probably. It's smart.
Yeah, I would.
So you're building tools to support people, and I'm being facetious. And listen, I have a ton of overweight people in my family, and I think being able to talk about it honestly is really the way we're going to cure this. And obviously tools, if you can measure it, you can manage it. This is very true. And I think that you guys doing these tools, it's great that you're doing this because you're going to make society better. And people have iPhones, and they have these applications. It really does make a difference, and everybody should try it. Buy the application. It only costs you $1. So everybody who listens to the show, right now, go get DailyBurn, which is free, and get the scanner. Food scanner. Yeah. So just search on your iPhone for food scanner. If you're watching the show, you have to buy it. I'm giving you a prescription, and you have to tweet thank you to Andy Smith, and he's at Andy Smith, correct? That's right. So everybody should follow at Andy Smith, and everybody should follow at DailyBurn, and thank him for being on the program. You did a great job. Thank you for being so forward about how bad, terrible venture capitalists have been to you. No. But if you ever, those are good stories. And I think, really thank you for sharing all that information about Techstars, which I know people are really interested in. Everybody should get their applications in. Tyler, thank you for your insights. And Lon, thank you for the news. Emily and Kenny, a flawless show. Thank you very much. Nice job to Sean. Steven, also on the Shark Tank segment. And of course, Thank you to our sponsors, Bing for the Perfect Pitch Contest, DNA Mail, WebSpy, PowerVPS, and Ustream. Other show notes. After this, we're going to have This Week in Android, and This Week in Cloud Computing is Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Sunday, Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. Kevin Pollak's Chat Show.
Who's the guest this week on Pollack?
Stifler.
Sean William Scott. Excellent.
Sean William Scott will be on Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. It's probably in the top 3 guests in terms of famousness.
And they're in Cop Out, which opens Friday.
And they're in Cop Out, which opens today. So go see Cop
now.
Out, and everybody tweet. Thank you to sponsors. Tweet about that, blah, blah, blah. We'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups.
Spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.